Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. It is 7:01 and the board has reconvened in open session. Evelyn, roll call, please.
Trustee Wells.
Here.
Trustee Lee.
Here.
Vice President Marcus.
Here.
President Weekly.
Present.
And for the record, Trustee King is absent.
Got it. All right. During closed session, the board consulted with district regarding union negotiations with the Redwood City School District Teachers Association. Information was received and no decision was made. During closed session, the board consulted with the district regarding a pre-litigation settlement. A vote was taken to approve this settlement. Welcome, everybody. Bienvenidos a todos to the public session for the April 22nd, 2026 meeting of the Redwood City School Board. Our interpreter will now give instructions for how to access translation.
Bienvenidos a la reunión de la mesa directiva escolar de Redwood City del 22 de abril. Si necesita interpretación en español, por favor llame al 978-990-5137 y marque la contraseña 837-7041 y el signo de número o de gato. Si asiste a la reunión en persona, solicite un transmisor que se encuentra en la parte posterior de la sala. Gracias.
Thank you so much. Is everyone comfortable? I just want to make sure we do have chairs stacked up on the side, and I want to make sure everyone who's here is comfy in the room, has got a chair to sit in, right? Do we have a good plan for that? Yeah? Okay. Yeah, don't want anyone keeling over. Okay, great. Just so all participants are aware, at the direction of the board, this meeting is being recorded and will be shared with the public. We generally try to post our meeting videos on YouTube about a day or two after. Tonight, we've got some bond program items to discuss and school presentations, approval of SIPSs for Kennedy, Orion, and Adelante Selby, and then we have another mammoth round of policy approvals, which will be all tackled in consent. The board encourages all members of the public to participate and provide comment on issues of concern, regardless of whether or not they're on the agenda. If you're here in person, please fill out a speaker card. You don't have to give your legal name, but if you'd like for us to follow up with you, please consider adding contact information. If you're online with Zoom, you can just raise your hand and we will call on you based on your Zoom name. If you're speaking on a topic on the agenda, you'll be called at that time that item is being considered. If it's not on the agenda, we will call on you in the public comment portion near the beginning of our meeting. To be fair to all speakers, comment is limited to 3 minutes unless otherwise noted. You'll see a countdown clock at the front of the podium. If you're curious about what else we're going to discuss in future board meetings, please check out the agenda item toward the end labeled Other Business / Suggested Items for Future Agenda, which has a nice PDF attachment showing our planned schedule of board agenda items and topics. As a reminder, if you'd like something on the agenda for us to discuss, you'll need to get that request to the board president, that's me, and the superintendent at least 10 days in advance of the board meeting. Dr. Baker and I will confer and decide when or if to place it on the agenda. And of course, you are free to write us your thoughts in at any time to any of us, and feel free to write to us in Spanish. And now for our student-led Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is over here. Mic on? Mic on?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jade Romo, and I'm a 5th grader and the school president at Adelante Selby American School. It is a pleasure to be here tonight and lead the Pledge of Allegiance with you guys. Buenas noches. Mi nombre es Jade Romo. Soy la estudiante de 5º grado y presidenta escolar de la Escuela de Inmersión de Español Adelante Selby. Es un placer estar aquí contigo esta noche y para dirigir el juramento de lealtad. Please stand, salute, pledge. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that was wonderful. Next up is changes to the agenda. I have 2 to propose, and I would love to hear from other board members if they have others. The 2 ones that I would like to propose is first moving 12.5 to the consent section. Is the one concerning KIP. Yep. Okay. All right. The other is moving 16.1, and that's Brenna's commentary, Brenna's short presentation on teacher pay to directly after public comment, if possible, for medical reasons. Moving 16.1 to directly after public comment. So it's a 5-minute presentation on teacher pay. Short, yes. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Are there other changes that people would like to propose to the agenda? No. Would anyone like to move that we approve the agenda?
I'll move that we approve the agenda as amended.
Thank you.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Now we will move to public comment. I see we have some in-person comment cards. First up, we have Genian Archer Shade Cohen. We have 5 here, and how many do we have online?
Hi, I'm Jenny. And I'm Archer. We go to Orion. I am in 4th grade, and I get half English and half Chinese. And I am in 2nd grade. Next year, I'm going to be in 3rd grade. 40% English and 60% Chinese. But if there is a combo class, then we will get 50-50 instead. It's a big difference from 3rd grade. I know that because I'm in 4th. Also, there are only going to be 8 3rd graders in the combo class, and I want to be with more of my friends. It's not right that some will get different instructions. Please give us 2 3rd grade classes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Next up, we have Allison Rhodes. Come to the stand, please.
All right. Do I push any buttons? Sorry, no, there's, okay.
You're great.
Okay. Good evening, members of the school board. I'm here representing the teachers and special education staff at Clifford Elementary. I am here providing you this petition, and I will briefly go over the main concerns outlined in it. First, our school is asked to run multiple combination classrooms, a kindergarten first, a second, third, and a fourth, 4-5 next year. While combo classes can work in limited, well-supported situation, that does not seem to be our it's going to be our reality. Teachers will be effectively planning and teaching 2 grade levels at once, doubling the workload and reducing instructional quality. This challenge is made even worse because our district curriculum is not designed for combination classes. Teachers must independently adapt lessons for 2 grades without much guidance or resources. Secondly, there are no instructional assistance supports for these classrooms. Managing 2 grade levels without additional adult support does make it extremely difficult to meet students' academic and social emotional needs. Third, this directly impacts student achievement. Divided instructional time limits intervention, enrichment, and progress monitoring. Students will not be receiving the same level of support as those in single grade classrooms. Fourth, Clifford has a disproportionately high number of students with both IEPs and 504 plans. These can create imbalanced classrooms and make it harder to provide required accommodations effectively. Fifth, there is an inequitable distribution of students across the district. Clifford is routinely filled to capacity, while other sites may be maintaining lower class sizes or might not have combination classes. Additionally, 22% of our students are English learners, a number that is growing. These students need targeted language support, which is extremely difficult to provide in combo settings. In primary grades, K through 2nd, students are building foundational skills in reading, writing, and math. They require constant guidance and direct instruction. In combo classes, teachers cannot provide the consistent support young learners need. As a kindergarten teacher, I often have multiple students who are not able to work independently at the beginning of the year. In upper grades, 3 through 5th, students must meet specific standards for state testing. Combo classes limit the ability to fully cover grade level content, putting students at a disadvantage. Because of these concerns, we are asking the district to take an action by eliminating combination classes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next up, we have Andrew Chan. Please come to the stand.
Hi, good evening, board, parents, and members of the community. I'm here to talk about the 3rd and 4th grade combo proposal at Orion. My name is Andrew Chan, and I'm the parent of not 1, not 2, not 3, 4 kids. And I plan to have all of them go to Orion. I want to start by saying this program is truly a jewel of Redwood City. The quality of teaching, the strength of the community, and the outcomes I've seen by the students have truly been incredible. Recently, at the Chinese Language Teachers Association California Speech Contest, a statewide competition, our kids won a total of 9 awards. Okay, our kids can hold their own against the Stratford and Cornerstone kids. And that's exactly why I'm here tonight. 3rd grade is a critical point in their immersion journey, right? It's the last year where most of their curriculum is in Mandarin, and it's really where literacy, confidence, and fluency take hold. So a combo class risks diluting that experience. And it also introduces some real challenges. There's going to be a lot of complexity regarding balancing the Mandarin teaching, even against all the subjects that they have to teach. So you're just multiplying that against 2 grades and then times all the subjects. There's going to be an unequal learning experience between the two, even within the same grade. One class is just going to be 3rd graders, another class is just going to have a few 3rd graders against a larger proportion of 4th graders. And for students, from their perspective, they risk having a potential loss of belonging and confidence at that very young age. So at the same time, we're hearing that there's requests to join Orion Mandarin Immersion Program, and we're basically rejecting those. So my proposal is, why don't we make an effort to see if we can recruit enough classes to justify having 2 full classes in the 3rd grade. I feel that if we weaken a program like this, it's very hard to rebuild. If we invest in it, then we can protect what's working, and this program can continue to be a flagship offering of Redwood City and the reason why people move here. Thank you for your time and for your commitment to our students.
Thank you so much. Next up, we have Richard Pon.
Hi there, my name is Richard. Thank you for having me today. I also want to talk about the 3rd grade combo at Orion, but not necessarily specifically, but more generally in that how the Mandarin program has impacted my family. I have 2 daughters. My older daughter, Kara, she's in 6th grade right now in Kennedy. She started in Orion in the MI program when she was in kindergarten, and so this is her 7th year in the program, which has been great. She's been thriving. She has not been in any combo classes, and she's doing really well. In Kennedy, she's in the advanced ELA, she's in advanced math, she loves Mandarin. She's made the honor roll, or actually the principal's honor roll for the last 2 trimesters, so hopefully she'll do a 3rd next year. So definitely the impact and the education and the quality has been really good. My other daughter, Caden's currently in 2nd grade. She has a few more challenges. She had epilepsy as a kid, and she actually had to have 2 surgeries. She's cured now, but when she entered into the Mandarin program as a kindergartner, she was a little bit behind. She had an IEP, did speech therapy for a couple years. She graduated from that, which is great. She's currently has some Mandarin and math tutoring, which is helping her, and she's definitely catching up. I can only imagine what would happen if she was in a combo class and didn't get the hands-on and the attention that she needs to thrive. So hopefully, she doesn't she and her friends and the other incoming third graders don't happen to encounter that situation. But yeah, so in conclusion, just wanted to, let you know that the education system has been great for my family and definitely appreciate the support that you've had for the MI program at Orion and Kennedy. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, we have Jason Madsen.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for taking the time to hear our thoughts and our petitions tonight. I'm also the parent of a current second grader in the Orion Mandarin Immersion Program, and I'm here on behalf of many second grade MI families who are concerned about this potential third and fourth grade combo class. We decided not to take too many spots up with the open comment section and try to consolidate at least some of the comments. But can the second grade parents and kids raise your hand just to show, guys, this is at least some of the representation of what I'm about to say is on behalf of them and a much larger community at home right now. So right now there are two full MI classes. And next year, some of our students are moving to North Star, and we'll have fewer than the current proposal. And the current proposal is to create one standalone third grade and one combined third and fourth. Both will have 31 students. We understand that the constraints of the district, especially with steep budget cuts, but we're really concerned about how this is going to impact the learning experience and the integrity of the Mandarin Immersion program. Third grade is a critical year, as some of our other parents have said so far. It's the final year where students in the MI program have a 60-40 split Mandarin to English respectively, before shifting to the 50-50 in the upper grades class. And that makes this a key year for literacy and fluency in Mandarin. A combo class would likely reduce the consistency and instructional time in Mandarin. Accelerating that shift earlier than intended will weaken the results that our children experience with this Mandarin program and their long-term outcomes. We're also concerned about instructional quality. In the upper grades, teachers already fully teach both fourth and fifth grade classes, splitting time between the two. Adding a third and fourth combo effectively stretches those systems across 3 grade levels, increasing complexity and reducing the ability to differentiate for students. And for the students with potentially IEP and 504 plans, bifurcating attention between fourth grade level and third grade level students with some of those challenges really would damage their learning experience. There are also, I've got about 20 seconds left. Well, we'd like to ask then the district to reconsider the proposal to combine a class and split and have 2 full third grade dedicated classes. It'll be somewhere around 20-ish students per class.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Appreciate your comment. Next, we have Ann Law.
I'll be short. So thank you for listening to our parents' perspective. So I will bring a unique perspective as a twin mom. I have twin boys in Mandarin Orion Mandarin immersion program. So as the proposal combo, as a mom, I'll have to be forced to make a choice in terms of which kid is going to be in the combo class versus normal having a more normal education experience. So I'm asking the district to reconsider this proposal and just to be fair, right, for my kids and as well as all the kids in the Mandarin immersion program. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next up is Julia Redisnerna. Very apologies for the last.
Hi, thank you for your time this evening. I'm also a parent of a second grader in the MI program and who's going to be a rising third grader, and also a incoming TKer into the MI program. We chose this program a couple of years ago, mostly from wonderful advocacy from parents that I've known who shared the wonders of this program. And my second grader, having started with zero Mandarin knowledge, is now pretty fluent. And I do want to continue that support in building his foundation and his grasp and understanding of Mandarin literacy, developing more into his thought process and being able to write and all the things that happens in third grade that they need more dedicated teacher attention. As it is, a classroom size cap of 31 is really big. Like when I talk to other parents across the school districts, they're like, oh my God, 31, why aren't you sending them to private school? And I'm like, well, no, we made a commitment. This is a wonderful program. I'm a Redwood City resident. I'm very proud to attend the MI program and to send 2 kids to the school. But then when I hear that after all this advocacy for second graders to stay on and go to third grade here at MI, not to go to third grade North Star or to go to a private school to stay on, and to hear that despite all of that, we might have one full, very full 31 student classroom, and then this combo class is very discouraging. And there's many of us who, I mean, not me, but other people who might reconsider and take their students out, and leading to further decrease in the students in third, fourth, and fifth grade of the MI program. So this program has flourished. I remember touring John Gill and seeing, when my kid was like in preschool, seeing just like a few students in like the MI program, and now it's this robust, flourishing school program. I think that you guys should definitely continue investing in it so it continues to grow, and also support ongoing third, fourth, fifth MI middle school, but starting with 2 fully funded, fully staffed third grade classrooms. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next is Heidi Glasser.
Hi, everyone. I'm Heidi Glasser. I am the mom of 2 students who've been through the MI program, and I'm here to talk about the combined class proposal for next year. So my perspective is I was a parent as part of the pilot year of John Gill back in 2015 with Catherine Rivera. And I've seen the program flourish and grow over the years. It's come so far. And back at that time, we did have a combined class. And when the decision time came to move students to North Star, I was one of the parents who didn't really believe in the long-term future of this program. It was still a wild card. Kids were going to North Star. There was talk of combining 3 grades into 2 potentially. And at that time, I made the decision to put my son in North Star. With my daughter, who's in second grade now, I committed to Mandarin immersion. I'd like to see her through the Kennedy program. We have friends of my sons who have graduated Kennedy fully fluent in Mandarin, passed out of the test at Woodside now. And it's really been an amazing experience. So I think for the long-term sustainability of this program, I would advocate that we invest resources into it so that we don't continue to have parents who have to make that decision in second grade. Well, do I bet on the MI program, or do I take the safe bet with North Star? So thank you very much. Bye.
Last comment from Jasper Chen.
Hi, I'm Jasper. 2 children, one in second grade, one in TK. I'd just like to say that Principal Winnie has done a fantastic job building this program. It is an attractive program. I think it does put Redwood City on the map, and I think it brings that sort of, I think, value that's hard to achieve in a lot of places. I do want to echo what Andrew said about building the pipeline to try to recruit and maintain the pipeline, as opposed to creating compromises and then, including myself, parents wondering whether or not they really want to keep their kids in a school that cannot deliver the standard we expect. We get that there are budget cuts, and I think it'd be on us to also try to do what we can as parents to contribute. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm not seeing any online speaker cards, no more cards. So I think that ends our public comment section. We'll now hear from our labor representatives if they'd like to share. The same 3-minute time limit will apply. Brenna, do you want to use your slot for, do you want to give your presentation after?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Maria, do you have any comment you'd like to make?
Good evening, Maria Stockton, President of Redwood City 5 classified unit. Years and years ago, we used to start school after Labor Day. So the classified had 2.5 months to get another job and make money during the summertime. This has been extended with ski week and other breaks that have now shortened us to start in August and end in June. We used 2 years ago have a calendar committee that was CSEA, our sister RCTA, and the district representatives. CSEA owns holidays by ed code and by negotiations. We also own our work calendar of when to start and to begin. For some reason now, that has been excluded. We are given an instructional calendar that we're told the board members want it that way. So we start at the very first day of August on Monday. Now this year, we're finding other people are starting to, giving us in the office absolutely no time to prepare for their return. Board members, I know you guys want to be involved, but please let's get this committee back together where we can be participating in when school can go together to where it makes it easier for us to work as well as our CTA and the district. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. All right. And next up, we have a short presentation from the Redwood City's Teachers Association. And just as a reminder to my fellow board members and the audience, because we are currently in active negotiations with the union, there will be no questions from trustees allowed during or after the presentation. Cool.
Is it going to pop up? I'm sorry.
30 seconds. We do a little tap dance. Yeah. All right. And just so people are clear, we had some people who were in overflow, but I guess we're all seated now. Just, okay, good. All right. Plenty of seats available. Oh, hey, here we go.
Thank you. I did want to start by saying thank you to the district so far with negotiations. I think we're having a good dialogue, and so thank you for that. This presentation is about teacher salary specifically. Our CTA is committed to working towards attracting and retaining quality educators. This means being competitive with other districts and acknowledging the cost of living. Teachers that are under financial burden because of job salary have higher levels of stress, which affects their classroom performance. We did a survey with teachers about calculating what percentage of their salaries are taken up by rent or mortgage, and these were the results. 40 to 50% of teachers, or 40 to 50% taken up by rent or mortgage is 22% of teachers. I'm going to reverse this because that sounds easier. 18% of teachers have 40 to 45% of their paycheck taken up by rent or mortgage. 10% have 35 to 40% taken up, and 11% have 30 to 35% taken up. This means that over half of the teachers, 61%, have 30% or more of their salary taken up by rent or mortgage alone. That doesn't include any other cost of living. I did ask how many people were splitting that rent or mortgage with others in a household. As you can see, most are, 53% are. Overwhelmingly, 90% of the teachers that were surveyed felt that the salary was not satisfactory to meet basic cost of living expenses. Again, it was also feeling if the salary and yearly step increase is enough to keep up with inflation and other cost increases, and that was almost 98% saying no. We asked the question if your current salary allows you to consistently build a savings account that would support you in case of emergency situations, which I think we all know is really important to be able to have. And 87% of teachers are not able to start really building savings for those emergency scenarios. We asked if they felt that salary is competitive with other districts, and 78% said no, 20 said yes, so not as stark a difference. Is the amount of salary likely to impact your decision to retain your position in the district? Over half said yes, that is a consideration as they move along about whether they want to stay in Redwood City. So in summary, from all of that data, our CTA strongly believes teachers deserve a salary that allows them to live where they work, build savings, and that keeps up with cost of living increases. We feel that teachers deserve to have their skills and job requirements recognized and valued with a salary schedule that reflects the amount of growth and training that every teacher accumulates year to year without creating blocks of time where our effort is not recognized by an increase in salary. And we strongly urge the district to please acknowledge all of the hard work, dedication, and importance of their teachers by paying a fair and competitive wage. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Brent. All right, we are now going to approve our bond consent items. As a reminder for members of the public, consent items are the ones where we approve a group of items in one go that are considered unlikely to be objectionable or need discussion. Would somebody like to move to approve the bond consent items?
So I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. Right. And now we have our bond program items that require discussion. 11.1 is HVAC for Henry Ford and Roy Cloud. It's to make sure that we have adequate heating and cooling available for our schools to support our teachers and children and keep classrooms safe and productive environments. There's excellent evidence showing cool and comfortable students learn better and test better, and this was something taxpayers were keen to see us attend to quickly after passing Measure S. We've been upgrading the sites as fast as we can while trying to minimize disruption in learning, and next up are Henry Ford and Roy Cloud for the summer of 27.
Yes. Good evening, Dr. Baker, board members and community members. Martin Cervantes, bond director, and with me I have Nick Olson with VPCS. This item is to advance phase 3 of the HVAC program, which includes Henry Ford and Roy Cloud. So phase 1 is coming to completion, and phase 2 is underway this summer. This allows us to begin planning and design now to stay on schedule for summer of 2027 construction. If this is approved, bring this back to you in June to put out an RFP.
I'm good with this, but there's one more phase after this, right? And it's just a fourth phase for the rest of the schools?
Yeah, that's correct.
Perfect. I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, let's put some air conditioning in. Sweet. Okay, so next up, we get to this summer's HVAC plans, work at Clifford, Ryan, and Kennedy.
Yes. So this item is for approval of the guaranteed maximum price for phase 2 and our HVAC upgrades at Clifford, Kennedy, and Orion. The board previously approved the leaseback agreement with Block, and this GMP is the result of a competitive open book process with a strong bid coverage. It establishes a not-to-exceed cost, and it allows us to move forward with the construction this summer with completion before the start of school.
Do people have questions?
That looks good. And then you clarified for me, thanks about the contingency, about how that stays in the bond program if the contingency aren't
Correct.
used.
It
So
goes back
because
to-
it's baked into that guarantee maximum price. That's good to see. It's very, very responsible. So that's good. I will make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Right. The risk of repeating myself, let's get those kids some AC. All right. Next up, we have our industrial hygienist. And yes, that's a job description I didn't know about before joining a school board.
Good evening, members of the board, Superintendent Baker, staff and community. Martin is going to let me do number 3 here. So the industrial hygienist supports the construction. So this is actually a requirement by DSA and California Building Code to test and monitor for any hazardous material on the project. So I just want to clarify, this is just for the testing scope. Once we get those results back, we'll get a proposal for the monitoring scope if needed for the summer. And another note is we will come back in May with a contract for an inspector, special inspection, and commissioning as well to support this project.
Great.
Looks like a standard competitively bid compliance-based contract that we have to do to get phase 2 going. I'm glad that, there were multiple offers, proposals solicited, and that the one that has experience with us from phase 1 is the one that actually came in lowest. So I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Let's make sure there's no asbestos in there. Sweet. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Next up, we have our school presentations. First up will be Kennedy. We'll get the presentation, have some questions, and then we'll make sure to actually approve their SIPSA. Yes, very important. Okay. Kennedy.
Perfect. Use this to go forward. All right. Good evening. I almost feel like I'm at school during the morning announcements. I almost said, "Good morning, Kennedy Cougars," but I will spare you all. All right. Good evening. I'm Chandra Leonardo. I am the principal at Kennedy Middle School. And so this evening, I'd love to share with you how we are taking steps to make sure that we are addressing our goals for our LCAP. And so I will go ahead and get started. Okay, there we go. Now, of course, with that very first goal, our focus is looking at making sure that our students are getting their social emotional needs met, making sure that we are decreasing chronic absenteeism and looking at decreasing our suspensions as well. And at Kennedy, sorry, this little pointer here, let's see, over this way. Maybe not. Oh. Okay. There we go. All right, so looking at our data here, I'm going to go through here. Oops, I'm clicking too far here. Hopefully I'll get it together. Now, looking at our attendance rate, this current year, we're looking at our mid-year data. We've shown an improvement where about 94.2% is our current data. So for example, this morning in our homeroom, we are making a big push with our students to make sure that we get to 95%. That is our goal. So we talked about ADA, our average daily attendance rate, and we made sure to show our students, hey, here's what North Star looks like. Here's what Clearford looks like. Here's what Kennedy looks like. Let's go ahead and let's make that push to make sure that we are at school every day. It's important because when you miss a day of school, you miss a lot of school. And I know one of the things that we joked about right before spring break is that we noticed that we had a lot of students present right before spring break. And so some teachers were telling me, oh my goodness, you're doing a really big push because we have everybody's here and usually students are out going on vacation, not this time around, which was good to see. With our chronic absenteeism, of course, around COVID, there was a really high chronic absenteeism, but over the years, there has been a decrease. Mid-year, we're currently at 15%. That's still high, but we have some great growth in that area. And so we're looking forward to making sure that that chronic absenteeism decreases. I had a conversation with a student today who was proud of us. He said, "Well, look at our data. We've grown." I said, "Yes, we have." So I like that growth mindset. So we still, of course, have some work to do. But our plan, of course, is to make sure that we are looking at our students' data, having data chats with them. Our MTSS TOSA is doing a great job making sure we have the school engagement, student engagement support plan meetings with our students. Now, with our suspension rates, we have seen a decrease in suspension. That's been, to be honest, a tough pill to swallow for some of our middle school students, or teachers, I should say, because in the past, suspension was the go-to. We would suspend students quite often, but we know that our district, county, and state goals to make sure that we're decreasing suspensions and really looking at root causes and trying to figure out what can we do to make sure that we are addressing students' needs. We understand that our brown and black students were disproportionately suspended, and so it's super important for us to figure out what we can do to make sure that our students are successful in the classroom. But more takeaways that we have for this specific goal, one of the things that you'll notice is that we've gone from 92 to 94% mid-year. Our MTSS TOSA, our community school coordinator, have been doing a great job. Previously, it's been difficult for us to maintain having an MTSS TOSA at Kennedy. It was a lot of work, but a strain on our admin team. But this year, our MTSS TOSA has been doing great work. We have biweekly attendance meetings. We conduct home visits. We're making sure that we're meeting with students. We're having SARB meetings. And it's also been helpful to make sure that we've had that consistency with the district overall. So that's been great as well. So actually spending time with students and trying to figure out what the root causes are has been very helpful. We've been able to navigate concerns. We have a very strong counseling department, and so that is helpful when addressing students' needs. For many of our students, this chronic absenteeism is not brand new. It doesn't just happen at Kennedy, it's been years, and so we do have to do a lot of work at Kennedy trying to figure out what are those root concerns, what are those issues, and making sure that we address them. The other thing that's really important, we have a great team at Kennedy. Our teachers are very dedicated. They are passionate about their job, and they will always hear me say that it takes a very special person to deal with middle school. Middle school is tough, okay, but it can also be a joy. So we have 6th, 7th, and 8th graders who are going through a difficult time in their life. They're going through puberty. They are going to push boundaries. They have a lot to say. They want to make sure that they are seen and heard, and I think our Kennedy teachers do a great job with balancing that. This year, we've consistently moved forward with our PBIS team. We're finishing out our 3rd year. And we really appreciate that our teachers are taking time to learn more about how they can make sure that their classroom is inclusive of students and their needs. They make sure that they celebrate student success. And so that's been super helpful and great as well. Now, as far as our barriers for goal number 1, that gap from elementary to middle school is a big one, and it's a big change. And so I know for 5th graders, they're always very anxious, as are their parents, about going to middle school. But there's also this misconception that comes from elementary over into the middle school land that, oh, my student can miss a day. It's not that big of a deal. You have 7 different teachers. You miss one day, that's 7 different assignments. And a lot of times students will think, oh, I don't have to make that up, because that can sometimes be the standard for elementary school. Not the case in middle school. So students then find themselves on this wheel. Well, I'm missing school because I have a lot of work to do. Well, now I have a lot of work because now I'm missing school. So one of the things that's very important for us is making sure that our 6th grade families are very much informed that, hey, you really need to be at school. Whatever the issue is, get to school. You come straight to the family center. We will help you figure it out. So one of our barriers here now is trying to make sure that we're doing that parent outreach, engaging with families, and really helping them understand, or partnering with them to make sure they understand the resources that are available to them, and how important it is to be at school. So sometimes when we're sitting with students, we start calculating. Power School will show them A student might say, oh, well, I've missed 7 days. I said, well, let's calculate how many periods that is. What? 49? Oh, yes, that's 49 times that you have missed instruction. That's a lot. So giving that visual to the students and their families is something that we need to make sure that we're consistent about. Some of the other things that our staff has been able to identify, when we look at our data, it's very rare for a student to automatically become chronically absent in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. Our students who are chronically absent have been chronically absent since TK or K. So this is something that's just been perpetuated for years. And so now at Kennedy, we are having to do a lot of heavy work to try and dismantle this attendance or chronic absenteeism that the students have issues with. Suspensions. In the past at Kennedy, we used to have, for example, for special education math, special education English language arts. We no longer have that. All of our special education students, well, our RLC students are all in the general education setting. They get a study skills class. So sometimes there's increased behavioral needs and demands, and sometimes our teachers might not know how to deal with those specific things. And so that does fall on admin to make sure that we're making sure that our teachers feel supported, but also our students have what they need. The other thing that's important for us, yes, we've been in these 3 years for PBIS. The main thing is the consistency. So something that I make sure that we talk about a lot, or conversations with teachers at staff meetings, is making sure that whatever we start, let's finish it, let's continue it. However, if there is something that we feel that needs to be addressed, if it's not working, let's not be opposed to starting over. But the main thing when I'm talking to teachers is, hey, we can't have teacher A following our PBS model, but you're not. Our students, especially in middle school, just in general, they need consistency. They need to make sure that we're all on the same page. If this is what we're making sure that we're going to do, we all have to do that. It's super important. The other thing that we want for teachers to have access to, something that's come up often, is the need for more training for behavior management support, de-escalation strategies. So that's something that we are looking at as well. And also making sure that our teachers feel supported. We want to make sure that, admin are not sitting in the office just eating chocolates all day. We really try our best to make sure that we're visible at supervision with our students. I've had students tell me often, oh my gosh, I see you everywhere. I'm like, what does that mean? Is that a bad thing? No, I've been at school before. I never knew where my principal was. I was like, well, lucky you. You get to see Mrs. Leonardo all the time. So it's very important to me as a former Kennedy teacher to make sure that I help teachers. Miss Laney, Mr. Penn believe the same, to make sure if we have to have push and support for teachers or modeling things for teachers. I think it's very important for administrators to be instructional leaders. Teachers want to see admin who walk the talk, not just tell teachers what to do, but definitely support and model for them those expectations. Our next step is, as I mentioned, we want to make sure that we're going to 95% attendance, and that's really going to take early identification this summer, looking at our data. So we do request from our feeder schools, who are your students who have that chronic absenteeism, calling those families over the summer. What we found is we did that outreach last year, and we started in June, called those families, made those connections, and continued on. And those students that we contacted last year, we got that information from the feeder schools. We have not seen those students they have not been chronically absent. So they've improved their attendance overall, which has been great. So continue to do that early identification. And then in the middle of the school year, if we notice a student has been absent for 2 days, encouraging teachers, one, to make sure that they reach out to the families, or also notifying us so that we can figure out what's going on before it gets out of control. The other thing is to make sure that for our multilingual learners, our LTLs, our students with disabilities, really making sure we're partnering with families. We found that when we actually sit and talk with our families, they didn't know. I had no idea. I didn't know what that meant. And now I'm logged on to Power School. So when we do that, we do find great success. And parents often thank us for reaching out to them. I didn't have any idea, but we're really thankful for you reaching out to us. We want to make sure that our students are successful. The other thing is we want to make sure that we continue to make sure that our teachers have training and making sure our behavior expectations are reiterated and they're taught. Sometimes it's very easy to assume that students know what to do. They don't. And you'd be amazed at some of the things that I hear on a daily basis. Well, I didn't know that. Really? You had no idea? And I have to believe that they really didn't. Their brain is not fully developed, so they honestly might not have known. So on the adult end of things, it's really important for us to model those expectations, reward students who are doing the right thing, and then making sure that we're holding students accountable across all settings at the school. And then really looking at our tier 2 interventions for students. We do have a lot of things for our students who are tier 3. We have the SARB, we have the CES, but the things of that nature. But before it escalates, trying to really identify what are some additional interventions we can do for those students who are not chronically absent. They're nearly chronic. What are we going to do to make sure that they get the support? And the same for our students who might be tier 2 behavior concerns. For our LCAP goal, this is really focused on our multilingual learners. We want to increase our reclassification rate to 20% and then decrease our LTEL percentage to 10%. So at Kennedy, I know one of the things that came up at our recent staff meeting is that some of this data doesn't match what we see on the dashboard. The California dashboard shows something a little different, but this is looking at our localized data. And so that looks a bit different than what the dashboard says. But when we look at this data, we do see that our LTELs continue to improve, but there's been some stagnant progress for our LPAC and reclassification rate. So one of the things that's been happening at our school site is all of our teachers are taking ownership that our students don't just get ELD in one period of the day. Yes, they have designated ELD, but what's good for one is good for all. So those are UDL strategies. Those are strategies for multilingual learners. That's going to be helpful for our students with disabilities as well as our multilingual learners. So we will see in PE, our teachers are using total physical response. They're teaching vocabulary. Our PE teachers will also teach literacy, reading different text, which sometimes people might say, why are students reading in PE? We found, for example, on our state test, when our students are taking the performance test, there are things talking about cardiovascular health. There are things in science there's all kinds of different things. Write a blog post. Your science teacher is giving you this topic. Write a science text about this. So reading and writing, speaking, listening cannot just happen in the ELD setting. It has to happen across all content areas. As we're going to classrooms at Kennedy, you'll see our teachers using graphic organizers, holding students accountable for vocabulary, having classroom presentations. And so that's been happening across setting, and that has been great to see. And so our current systems definitely support growth, but there's definitely need for acceleration. The other thing that we have been doing more recently, we did an LPAC boot camp. We went through our data. We focused on all of our students who were in Boys and Girls Club, who were not reclassified. And so our MTSS TOSA and our Family Center Coordinator work with them after school 2 days a week prior to the LPAC, sitting with the students, showing them their data, helping them understand what it meant to take the LPAC and working with them. So we don't have that data yet. So it'll be interesting to see how those students perform on the LPAC this year. For barriers, a lot of our students, there's overlap, right? So we have students with disabilities who are also LTELs, and so they require a variety of different supports. There's also a very wide range in proficiency levels. We have students, of course, who are new to the United States, and some students who will tell you, I don't speak another language at home at all. I don't know why I'm in this class. I have no idea what that means. And there continues to just be gaps in their academic language for mathematics, social studies. And so that's really important for us to try to figure out how are we going to make sure that our students' academic language improves, especially for the LPAC. The LPAC test has very content-specific tasks for the students to complete. So in order for them to be reclassified, their academic language has to improve. When we talk with our families, many of our families have no idea why their student is in ELD. They don't know what the LPAC is. So it has taken us making sure that we get that information to them. We've also found that when families come to ELAC, their students are reclassified. So we really are trying our best to make sure that we engage our families so they understand how to support their students. The other thing is we've noticed when we try to have after school support, many of our students take public transit, they take the Samtrans bus, or they take the Redwood City school bus. So we cannot hold them after school to do these additional interventions. So we really need to focus on doing that during the school day. But then that means really looking at our master schedule, reworking that, but then you have to look at teacher credentials. It's a whole thing. Our next steps is continuing to use CAP tutoring through LCAP funds. We've been able to have CAP tutoring, which has been great success for our students. Making sure in the following year that we have Dr. Saguilan at our school and connecting with our teachers to really figure out how we are going to make sure that we are targeting our multilingual learners in our all content areas. We also want to make sure that we're using data to inform our instruction, also looking at grouping students who have similar LP levels together. Really also focusing on academic language. Writing is going to be very important. We have had a focus on writing this year. So students have been writing in math, science, social studies, everywhere, all content areas. So that has been awesome to see as well. The other thing is really having authentic PLCs for our teachers and looking at their data. And one of the most important things is trying to figure out, looking at our master schedule, looking at the teacher credentials, and trying to figure out where in our day can we ensure that our students are getting what they need during the school day. And the hard part with that is that a lot of students come to Kennedy because we have a great electives program. There's a lot of choice in that. And so sometimes it's disheartening to take an elective away from a student. But at the same time, I'm thinking, well, I want you to be able to go to school and know how to read, and high school, know how to read and write. And what happens is if you don't reclassify and from in K to 8th grade, you lose your elective anyway in high school. And then finally, our last goal here is looking at increasing our students' achievement on the CASP, and we're using the iReady to figure out the next steps for our students and making sure that they are continue to achieve. So here's our overall data from 2025 and the fall to 2026. Okay. And here's our iReady data. I'll keep going here. Oops. Here. Okay, so our takeaways here from the data, based on iReady, we've had a 31 to 35% overall, but growth has slowed for our English language arts. We did have better improvement for our math, going from 20 to 27%. Looking at the CAS for our English language learners, it still remains low, especially in math. We know that math still is a pain point for our students. It's difficult for them. There's a lot of reading in the math. Those days of just clicking multiple choice answers and what's 3 times 2, those days are gone. But the great thing at Kennedy, our teachers are using the district adopted curriculum. It is new for them, so there have been some challenges, but the great thing about being at Kennedy is our teachers are willing to do the work. They believe in their students, and they really try their best to make sure that every student is able to achieve. The other thing to note with iReady data, it doesn't always exactly match up with our CAST. So what we try to do is use that iReady data to figure out where the gaps may be, where are some areas of growth in order to improve on the CAST. One thing to note, when we say iReady at Kennedy, some of our students sigh, they complain, and they groan, which I know some of you might be aware of. They've been taking that iReady test for a long time, and some of the barriers include having assessment fatigue. They do sometimes not try their best on the iReady, but they will try their best on the CASP. There's just this brain block for them. They think that iReady is not important. But we try to remind them that every assessment you take is important. Treat it as you would any other test. Try your best. I've found that when I have sat with any of our students who might have an IEP and I sit right next to them one-on-one, just my presence there has them able to focus, and they do show some improvement in gains. So I did that for a couple of our students this past iReady session. The other thing that our teachers have often talked about this year is having the need for a true PLC. I know that these past couple years has been trying to lay the groundwork for PLC time. Teachers are really eager to actually have time where they can come up with what they think the students need based on the data, and have that time to meet on a consistent basis. So that's something that we, of course, will have next year. The other thing is making sure for protected intervention time. As I've mentioned, that's something that really needs to be worked in the master schedule, and there's some constraints with that. And then the other thing to note is that Kennedy receives students from multiple feeder schools, in addition to private schools, charter schools. And so I tell teachers this all the time, we don't get to choose who comes to our school. This is who comes to us. So if a student already comes to us 2+ years behind, it is difficult for some of our teachers who are single subject teachers. Hey, I went to college to teach science. You mean I've got to now this is difficult. And it is challenging for our teachers. So it's taking us some time to try and figure out how are we going to impact our students. I think the key here is really looking at 6th grade and trying to thinking of it as a school within a school, because our data will show that over time, as our students are at Kennedy in 7th and 8th grade, they do grow. There is some success. It's going to take us really looking at that data when they enter to really figure out how we're going to support them. I kind of mentioned some of my next steps, but really continue to focus on our Tier 1 instruction, making sure our teachers are prepared, making sure they have systems in place to teach our students, really making sure they're using UDL design lessons, and continue to focus on writing. I've told teachers that when your students are reading, they should be writing. When they're writing, they should be speaking. When they're speaking, they should be listening. All of those things are important in a classroom on a daily basis. We're not saying you have to write a 5-paragraph essay, but every day our students should be using that academic language because it's very important. And the other important thing for us to do, or one of our next steps, is really looking at our students who are 1 year below on CAS, targeting those students, whether it's through the CAP tutoring through the LCAP dollars, whether it's through class time with our expository reading and writing class, and really looking at trying to accelerate those students before they move on to 7th grade as a 6th grade student. And then really looking at our iReady data, since this is the data that we have for our district, looking at that data and trying to figure out how we're going to use that to really drive our instruction. And then that PLC time. So when we have that dedicated PLC time next year, it'll be very important for our teachers to work together, look at that data, and make some decisions. What questions do you have for me?
Thank you so much for that presentation. Mike.
Yeah, thank you for the presentation. I also wanted to just take a minute and say thank you for your amazing leadership. It's been really just such an honor and a privilege to be able to see how you've stepped up into the leadership role at Kennedy and really led that school. It's amazing. We can hear it in your passion tonight about every one of the goals and all of your students and your families and your staff and just the passion that you bring to that role. And we can see it in the outcome that's happening there. Being on campus Wednesday night, welcoming the new superintendent, you could feel the buzz of the spring concert that was coming there, the whole community coming together. And it's just, it's a reminder of the strength that you've really brought to it. So I just wanted to take a minute and say thank you. It's been an honor to see what you've done with the role and how you've been leading the school there.
Thank you.
Flipping into the presentation, I would say, awesome. Goal 1 is outstanding. Like that focus on attendance, it's really good to see that growth come. Middle school is, it's a difficult transition, as you pointed out. I'm happy that HVAC is coming in, but it was a bummer to see Summer Bridge get canceled.
That's
And I
right.
know for
That's
some of
the
the
bummer.
students that get to participate in it, that means that, they won't get that first easy touch into
Right.
the campus, but I'm sure that the administration next year will find a way to welcome the 6th
Yeah.
graders in at the beginning of the school year. And seeing the suspensions go down, I know it can be difficult. It can be an easy, maybe an easy crutch, but it's so important to really keep the kids in school. And that's just a remarkable accomplishment there. Middle school is another really tough one to really try and move the needle on suspension. So that's really impressive to see that happening. On goal 2, Kennedy is really this is a place where we can really move the needle for our multi-language learners, and particularly our long-term English learners, obviously because it's a comprehensive middle school. This is where they first started getting identified as it. So to see that focus that's happening there, and over 50% making growth each year,
Right.
that's a really, really strong number of everybody increasing on there. And I'm glad that you're not just focused on growth. It's really looking towards acceleration and trying to figure out how that can happen. Goal three, I think, it's more challenging for Kennedy. Again, middle school brings an interesting set of challenges. We do see growth, so that's awesome. And we do see improvement in the growth there. The one thing the protected intervention time, I hear you about that. I think that's really important. Just want to make sure that we don't end up tracking our kids and losing out on that possibility of electives that are there. Reminds me of how important this shift from after school to extended day has really been in the last 5 years, and how we really want to make sure that kids are able to take advantage of that, because there's enrichment electives and a lot of beyond the core activities, plus reinforcement for the core that they can get there. And I thought that the call out that I didn't notice looking at the slides over the weekend, but hearing you talk about it tonight, is probably something we might want to look in, or maybe you're already looking into it, about how transportation could actually be a hindrance to students being able to participate in some of those really valuable programs. When they're in the Boys and Girls Club and they're getting identified for additional help for the LPAC, it's just such a great, full circle kind of circling around. So maybe that's something that we can kind of figure out how we can bring that opportunity to more students if they are transportation bound. So I'm glad that you called that out. Again, thanks for the presentation. Love what you're doing at Kennedy. Really, really, again, just love the contribution that you made to Redwood City School District, both from the classroom and up here into the administration.
Thank you.
Agree with most of what Mike says per usual. I think it's very clear the leadership that you brought has been super important. I think we hear that a lot I can tell that across all these presentations, but it's just really clear the amount of detail that's going through your mind as you're just speaking it. It's something that I very much appreciate. And it's clear that's also translating into results. So thank you for all of that. Just going in my head, each of the goals one by one. The goal one's totally agree. Like, this is great progress, and I know it is difficult for the reasons that you stated, right? Like, chronic absenteeism is a habit, not just an instance, and so there's only so much within your control within 6 to 8. But I'm also heartened to know that this is something that the district is focused on across all of our schools. So it's great to hear that you being proactive about before they're coming to collaborate with the incoming students. It's also hopefully can be something that continues to improve as we get more students that are staying and getting this consistent message as they come through. So I'm really hopeful about that. I'll go to goal 3 and then goal 2, because I have a slight question on goal 2.
Okay.
Goal 3, we are seeing growth. I really wish, I think we've heard this a couple times, I wish that there were a better way for us to get that buy-in for the iReady. I mean, like, a test is a test. That's not really the important. It's more of I think the hope is that we're actually using it in a way to inform practice, so like we can actually get better. So I don't know how to crack that nut, but it sounds like it's something that's being thought about, just a consistent challenge, and hopefully we'll get there. Goal 2, my question was more just about, I think, something you said very briefly, which is the difference between what is shown in our LCAP and our presentation versus what's on the dashboard, which I've seen that too. I mean, and I had a question for the district too, and I'm just trying to wrap my head around, like, what is really good. And I look at the dashboard, and Kennedy, for example, is blue, which tells me we're doing a very good job. But I know our growth target is, or our general target is, percentage students who move up at least one level on output. And I just don't know, like, how to calibrate that, other than what we are doing is good. But I would love to hear a little bit more about what is that discrepancy between the dashboard and our LCAP.
Yes, I'll try my best to explain it, but I did reach out to Jenny Tran. I said, Jenny, this does not match what we see on the dashboard. I need your expertise. So what I understood is that the dashboard looks at the LP levels, which is not as difficult, I guess, as it's looking at the LPAC data. So from what I understand, and Anna can correct me too if I'm wrong, so when we're looking at the dashboard, it's looking at students, do they just make progress? Whereas our LCAP data is looking at, okay, yes, you're a 2, but you're still a 2. You still have not been reclassified yet. So if you go from a 2 to a 3, that's awesome, but you still are not yet reclassified. So hopefully I explained that accurately.
That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Oh, that's very, either way, I mean, blue, I assume very good. Sounds like there's a lot of progress. So anyway, thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't want to repeat myself, obviously. I love everything that Mike said. That's exactly what I was going to say. One of the things is, obviously, I love that you're out there everywhere, like your student said. I have many friends that have children at Kennedy and have said nothing but wonderful things about you. Also at the spring concert, I was there with Dr. Baker and Dr. Rubalcaba, and I had a couple of my friends said, what a wonderful principal you are. Obviously, kudos to all the teachers for following the curriculum and your admin team as well. I wanted to also give you guys a shout out regarding Power School and how you guys are involving the parents. And so that's always a plus, right? You want to get the
Right.
parents engaged and involved so that they know what's going on with their children. You mentioned academic language several times. And so my only question with that is, I understand like you're doing academic language and math and reading, and ELA. What are we doing as far as like providing resources to whether the student or their family?
So some of our teachers, and this is something that we could probably improve upon having all of our teachers do it, but I know it's an additional workload, but we have several of our teachers who have websites using Google Sites within the district. They post the definitions, the words, the visuals, all of that, making it available to the parents. They'll email the parents on a biweekly basis. Our students have academic vocabulary notebooks. They have access to the vocabulary terms, but the main thing that's going to be super important is making sure those vocabulary words are used in context. Yes, they can memorize it, but can they write with it? Can they speak? Can they use it in a sentence? Is it something that's a part of their daily vocabulary? And I think that's most likely our next step that we really need to look at consistency across the school. So that way parents are informed, they know about it, and that it's not just happening in English language arts or science, that our students see it just across in every classroom. It's just a standard. This is what it is. This is the Kennedy way.
Great. I just lost my train of thought. And then I guess too with the absenteeism, also I want to give a shout out to obviously all the team that makes those phone calls, and it's always there to provide the parents, I guess, like the report, your student is absent, bring him to school is important. Like you mentioned, 7 times 7, 49, that's a lot of class missing. So again, thank you. The needle is definitely moving, and I've said this for other presentations as well. And to me, that's what matters. Growth, it's important. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for your work. On a personal note, you've made it a school that I'm excited to be sending my son Max to next year. So thank you for your work making it a great school. It's great to see the progress on LTEL. I loved your passion for instructional leadership and demonstrating best practices, really being in the classroom, really being present. I think it's fantastic. I loved your comment about integrating reading into everything, including PE, and just the efficacy of that. I would love to know your take. Like, what is it that makes iReady so awful for these students versus CAS, that they're taking CAS seriously and they're not taking iReady because
So in my conversations with students, what many of them have said, it's the same test we've been taking. I said, well, you take the CASP. The CASP is also something you've been taking since elementary school. But when I'm talking with them, they say it's too long, it takes forever, which again, so does the CASP. But talking to a 6th, 7th, 8th grader, they just don't like iReady. I don't know if they're tapped out of iReady. I know in elementary school, the lessons were used quite a bit in the past. We still have teachers that do use the iReady content. I have not been able to figure it out other than our students just don't like that iReady.
Yeah, it's just it's hard because like
Yes.
we as the board are responsible for giving some directions to like how do we want the district students to be measured? Like we've done this experiment doing mid-year testing to see like does that allow time for course correction? And what will be really unfortunate is if like the mechanism of testing that we're using is being discounted because the students aren't taking it seriously, which means that we then don't take it seriously, which means that we don't actually take any corrective action, which means that like the test was for naught, and that would be a bummer of a reality to live in. So just I'm looking for your coaching and guidance for the district. Like what's the right way to handle this, to either incentivize the students to take iReady seriously so that we can use it for course correction, or find some other way of seeing how are things going and what course corrections are needed to have an
Yeah.
effective school year.
So when talking with students, talking with teachers. But the hope is to really have a test that doesn't take days. There's some students, they can be on that test for a long time. It'll time out. We have to reset it. They have to start again. But ideally looking at an assessment that is short, maybe 30 to 40 minutes max, and kind of hitting all those key points and trying to figure things out. But for students, they just say it's too long. And I think it's a long time. And so I'm just,
How long does it take the median student? Like your typical 50th percentile student, about how long does it take him doing the iReady?
I'd say about anywhere from 60 to 75 minutes.
Okay.
So in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't seem too long, but for middle school, it's a lot because you're giving up a lot of instructional time for that. What we did this year, we did have an iReady testing block that helped somewhat. Everybody was testing their students instead of it all relying on the English language arts teachers. In the past used to be, okay, you take the iReady reading and ELA. Well, then now our students are not getting the English language arts time. Okay, now it's math time. You're losing on instruction for these assessments.
So if there was some way to do it in roughly half the time, you
It
think like
might, yes.
students might take it more seriously, might get better data.
I think so.
Okay, great. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Just an FYI, we met with iReady, so they have shortened it a little bit for next year. So
Oh, good.
hopefully we can see
We'll
better
see.
results. So
Okay,
they're
that's
working
great.
on it.
Love it.
There we go.
So Chandra, thank you so much for the report. I'm not going to repeat a lot what the board said, but I'm going to take you back to 3 years ago.
Okay.
I think it's because you've been there as 3 years as principal now, and it was prior to that, the year prior in June, and I was biting my nails to see if you were going to accept that job, the job or not. And I went, and Wendy was, when are you going to know? When are you going to know? We're going to have to fly it. We're going to have to fly it. I want to thank you so much for taking it. I really do. The past 3 years have been amazing to see your leadership and how you have grown. The staff that is here tonight do an amazing job under your leadership. You are there not only for your students, for your staff, but also for your parents. The day that I got to sub for you was very eye-opening of all the work that you do to make what happens on a daily basis at that school site. I was impressed, and I was in classrooms. I see Cynthia back there and went into her classroom to look at her lesson. I went into other classrooms to look at their lessons also. And the manner of how teachers were teaching and asking questions to the students for understanding and really supporting them in what they needed, it all comes from you making sure that things are happening at the school in the manner in which they have been happening. Let me see, let me think. You leaving is definitely a loss, and I know you have to do what you have to do, and I'm totally, in support of what you need to do. But it's been a real pleasure seeing you as the site administrator at Kennedy School. My day that I spent there and talking to the students, especially at lunchtime, because you've got those 3 lunches, and I always was with kids throughout those 3 lunches, they told me how fascinating and how much they enjoy you and your presence, and especially your morning announcements. And then the one that we got to experience, Wendy and I were there, and you're going through the announcement and you're playing these types of games with them, and who gets this, gets prize and that prize. It's remarkable how you put that all together, and the energy you have. And when I was there, I asked the students, well, what do you like? What makes you want to come to school every day? My teachers are great. The kids here, it's a diverse group. And Miss Leonardo, she really cares about us. She knows everything about us. She's out here all the time. I said, so I've heard that. So thank you so much for making the last 3 years for me so pleasurable, and to know that you were at the helm of that school. It's greatly appreciated, and I want to really acknowledge it. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you
now
also for the
SIPs.
I'll make a motion to approve the SIPSA.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank
you
you.
very much. And now for Orion. Microphone.
Oh,
there you go.
Yeah. I've been waiting all night, even email Anna this afternoon. Can I go first? And should I let's follow the agenda? That's fine. Yeah. All right. Good evening, River City Board of Trustees, Superintendent Dr. Baker, and colleague. It is my honor to be here this evening to share Orion's progress toward our three outcome goals, celebrate the strong work of our staff, students, and family, and highlight our outcome in attendance, multilingual learner progress, and academic achievement, along with key strategies and next steps. Right. So our focus under goal 1 is ensuring students receive strong social emotional support while improving attendance, reducing chronic absenteeism, and maintaining low suspension rate. Our attendance increased from 94.3% in the base year to 95.2% in year 1 and 96.1% at the mid-year point of year 2 this year, reflecting steady growth and continuous improvement. Chronic absenteeism decreased significantly from 12.6% in the base year to 11.7% in year 1 and to 7% at mid-year of this year, exceeding our expected rate of reduction. Our suspension rate remained very low overall. While there was a slight mid-year increase among the socioeconomically disadvantaged subgroup, we'll continue to prioritize proactive support and early intervention. At Orion, our approach to attendance is grounded in 3 different aspects: strong relationship, meaningful engagement, and proactive data-informed support to help students stay connected and succeed. At the core of this work are strong student-staff relationship. And I want to give a shout out to our amazing Orion team here on the call for their care, empathy, and commitment to supporting and engaging every single one of the students so they feel seen, valued, and connected, which is an essential foundation for strong attendance. We promote engagement through enrichment classes, school-wide event, and our unique program-specific experiences, including multicultural studies in our co-op program. I would like to invite all of you to our multicultural study travel week, and immersive Mandarin language and cultural experiences in our Mandarin immersion program. We reinforce expectations through practices such as monthly strong attendance award and consistent family communication. And our team also regularly monitor attendance data, identify concerns early, and provide targeted support. This work is made possible through daily coordination and follow-up of our wonderful office team and our MTSS TOSA Maribel Ibarra, whose effort play a critical role in sustaining this system. Like many schools, we continue to see common challenges affecting the attendance. One area I want to highlight is independent study, as it has been a key factor impacting attendance at Orion. So as everybody knows, if you're absent for 3 or more days, you can request for independent study. However, we have seen variability in participation and completion when families are not always clear on independent study expectation and assignment. Some families share with me that I forgot to request for independent study, or the work is actually really hard. My child need more guidance on that. So we receive the work packet directly from the teacher, but actually we need more information for how we can complete the independent study packet. So to address this, we can strengthen our system by reteaching the expectations at the start of each trimester and implementing pre-meeting before independent study begin, particularly for longer absences. This step will help align expectation, clarify assignments, and identify any needed support in advance. We'll also closely monitor completion and follow up early when work is incomplete. As part of our effort to strengthen attendance, we'll launch an Attendance Improvement Award to recognize students who have made measurable gain in their attendance. We'll also help reinforce positive habits, increase student motivation, and acknowledge progress at all levels. At the same time, we recognize that some families are navigating broader challenges such as housing instability or transitions. In these cases, we're increasing proactive counseling check-in, ensuring timely follow-up, and also connecting families with district and community resources. Our approach to reducing suspension focuses on early intervention and strong system of support. We hold weekly screen team meetings to review student need across academic, behavioral, and social emotional area, ensuring timely and coordinated support. At the school side level, we implement SEL through the Wayfinder curriculum and reinforce positive behavior through PBIS and our Orion Star trait. So Orion student can receive star ticket from their teacher, not just from their teacher, also from their peer, because we also encourage students to nominate each other who demonstrate Orion superstar characteristic in order to receive a star ticket. And we also have parent volunteer who help run the student store shop where student can exchange for prices in the student store. I also want to give a shout out to our PBIS committee for joining me at Principal's Coffee to present our PBIS system to family, helping them understand how we support and reinforce positive behavior so family can also use the same language and strategy at home. As next step, we'll continue mental health check-in, closely monitor behavior data, and also maintain strong family partnerships. As our school continues to grow and welcome new staff each year, we are also heavily invested in professional development in classroom management, restorative practices, and ongoing instructional coaching, especially for new teachers, to strengthen our consistency across classroom. Okay, moving on to goal 2, focuses on improving multilingual learners' progress, increasing reclassification, and reducing long-term English learner. Our reclassification rate increased significantly from 6% in the base year to 37.2%, far exceeding our goal. I'm incredibly proud of the progress our multilingual learners have made and deeply grateful for the dedication of our teachers. At Orion, we view multilingualism and students' home culture as strength and asset. We're excited to continue building on this growth. While LPAC level growth was 44.1% compared to 50% in the base year, we remain committed to strengthening language development through targeted instruction and ongoing support. To support English language development, we are focusing on 3 key areas: targeted instruction, strong coaching, and meaningful opportunity for authentic language use. First, we provide targeted ELD instruction across grade level using the Language Power curriculum. This work is supported by our classroom teacher, not just our classroom teacher. Also, a shout out for our TK teacher. They finished school earlier, so they also help support ELD instruction. Our MI TOSA, Elva Wu, also help collaborate to provide designated ELD instruction and targeted language support through our Orion Win block based on student need and the LPAC level, while maximizing staffing to best support our students. Second, we have made a strong investment in instructional coaching and staff capacity building. Our site coaches, including our TK teacher, Ms. Conti, our MI TOSA, Ms. Wu, and 3rd grade teacher, Mrs. Lamp. They work closely with teachers to strengthen integrated ELD, writing instruction, data analysis, and support for not only new teacher, but experienced teacher. This coaching is especially important as our school continues to grow. And third, we create meaningful opportunity for authentic language use through our integrated unit family gallery walk. And I really missed that. I kept telling the teacher that before COVID, when I was teaching, I invite family to join our end of unit presentation where family can be there to cheer for our student, but also be there to see how much growth they have made. So our 2nd grade team this year, during the Ancestor project, they invited family to come to school to share their home culture and family history. Students afterward created and presented report about their own family history and heritage. This kind of experience allows students, including our multilingual learner, to use language authentically to listen, speak, and present in real-world contexts, while also seeing their identity and home cultures valued as part of their learning. And during my principal's coffee, I heard very clearly from our multilingual family that many want more support in understanding the LPAC assessment and score, their child's language level, and the next step being taken at school. This year, I got a chance to share the LPAC assessment with the parent, and parents were like, wow, that is so hard. There's a lot of academic English here. Because previously, they shared their confusion with me. They felt like my child has been talking to English with everybody every day. So what do you mean by, my child has been at LPAC level 3 for 2 years. Why there's no improvement? What else we are doing here at school to help my child to grow? So in response, one of our key next steps is for our administrator, MTSS TOSA, and classroom teacher to work closely with every multilingual learner family so they can better understand their child's LPAC data, progress, and actionable next step with follow-up communication. We'll also continue sharing ELD resources with family because our teachers share a weekly newsletter with family with a lot of resources for songs, and here's the learning goal, and here's the vocabulary card. So we're actually considering to add ELD resources to the weekly newsletter as well. And we're also partnering with PTO to recruit multilingual parent volunteer for additional after-school tutoring, while our teacher also continue providing after-school support for multilingual learner. And our school district funded our teacher to provide after-school tutoring for our student. And our PTO parent, they're really amazing. They sign up after school to provide free tutoring for students who need additional support. So now we are doing more intentional searching for multilingual parents to provide additional support for our multilingual learner. All right, moving on to the last goal, goal 3. Focuses on students' progress in ELA and math as measured by the iReady and CASP assessment. Starting with ELA, we saw a very strong mid-year growth, with the percentage of students at grade level increasing from 44% in the fall to 68% in the winter, an outstanding 24-point increase. We're also seeing positive movement as students who were below grade level continue to make progress and catch up. Our iReady ELA growth increased to 68% at the mid-year point in year 2, representing a strong 11.6-point gain from year 1 and exceeding our expected outcome. This progress reflects the hard work of our students and the dedication of our teacher. Math tells an equally exciting story. We increased from 39% of students at grade level in the fall to 64% in the winter, an impressive 25% growth mid-year gain. This is a strong sign that our students are making meaningful progress and that our instructional support are working. Our iReady math data reinforces that success. At the mid-year point in year 2, 64% of the students met expected growth, which is a strong 19.4% increase from year 1 and well above our expected outcome. This growth reflects the hard work of our students, the dedication of our staff, and the impact of our targeted academic support. And even though our students don't like iReady either, because it's really long and time consuming, just want to piggyback on that. However, our students are highly motivated by the WIN block. And I have students coming to me sharing that I really need to really want to and really need to go to Librarian Christina's advanced book club, where we can do project and meeting with authors online. So I really need to work hard to get out of the writing group. I need to show that I'm making progress so I can move on to the next group. So I think that's what really motivates them. All right, our CASP, Over the past year, we have made meaningful progress in CASP ELA outcome for our English learner subgroup in grades 3 to 5. Our baseline was 8.1%, and we increased to 9.1% this year. We recognize that we are not yet where we want to be, but the progress indicates that our current strategies are beginning to have an impact. Moving forward, we'll continue to refine our instructional support to accelerate growth and work toward our target. Our CASP math assessment data for English learners shows strong and encouraging growth. Starting from the same baseline of 8.1%, we reached 13.6% this year, an increase of 5.5 percentage points. Notably, we exceeded our year one target, which reflects the effectiveness of our instructional focus and intervention in math. Moving forward, our goal will be to sustain this momentum and reach our year two goal. To conclude, our growth did not happen by chance. It is the result of intentional system, strong collaboration, and a shared commitment to meeting students where they are and moving them forward. First, our district-wide PLC structure has been a key driver of our growth. And I also want to thank Anna for taking the leadership on this important initiative this year. Our teachers collaborate regularly in grade level team to set shared goal, review assessment data, monitor student progress. More importantly, those conversations help us make real instructional decisions. We're constantly asking, who's making progress? Who still needs support? What strategies are working? What do we need to adjust? This ongoing cycle of collaboration, reflection, and responding to student need has made a real difference. Second, our WIN block, which stands for What I Need, has allowed us to provide differentiated support for all students. Through flexible grouping across MI and co-op program, we're able to maximize staff resources to deliver both targeted intervention and enrichment. Some students receive additional support in ELA, math, and ELD, while others have opportunity to extend their learning as well. What makes this especially effective is that it is truly a team effort. Our classroom teacher, our TK teacher, intervention teacher, TOSAs, resource staff, and support staff, all working together to make sure students get what they need. And third, our strong instructional coaching system continue to strengthen teaching across the school. This is something that I believe deeply. Before becoming principal, I served as our math coach and our MI program coach. So I have seen firsthand the impact that strong coaching can have on teaching and learning. When we invest in teacher, we directly invest in student success. As our program continues to grow and new teachers join our team, we have been very intentional about building teacher capacity through instructional coaching, professional development, collaboration, and ongoing feedback. I also want to thank Wendy for leading the initiative for mini observation. And I get to make a map, make a plan, make a schedule where I pop into classroom to observe teachers teaching in action. And sometimes we can it's not just one snapshot. We're observing teacher over multiple days where we can provide feedback. We can connect teacher. Actually, A teachers has this really great strategy. Teacher B, do you want to come see it? So I can have my guest teacher to release teacher B to observe teacher A. So through this mini observation, I really feel like I have taken on a really different perspective, and I want to connect the teacher to learn from each other. And we also create opportunity for our guest teacher to release teachers to plan together, observe one another, analyze student data, and learn from effective practice across classroom. When we look at our progress, we see more than improved outcome. We see the impact of the entire school community that is working together with the same purpose. As we look ahead, our next steps are very clear. First, as Orion continue to grow and as new teachers join our team, we're going to have 6 TK and 5 kinder next year. It will be important to continue investing in instructional coaching support. And second, in 26-20 school year, we plan to expand our school-wide PLC focus to include math in addition to ELA. And our PLC process has already helped us build stronger system for collaboration, data analysis, and responsive instruction. And we want to bring that same level of intentionality to math so we can continue building on the growth we're already seeing. And third, with the expansion to 6 TK classes next year, we want to continue collaborating with our TK teacher in a rotating model to provide additional third grade ELD support while also expanding the model to include third grade math intervention. Because we noticed that in our wing group, we do see a pretty large group, a group of 12, that's pretty large for intervention. So we really want to break down the group sizes to make it smaller. So next year we have an idea of having our MITK teacher leading some of the third grade math intervention. And this approach allowed us to maximize staffing and resources in creative way so we can better support students in the upper grade. At the same time, we know there are still challenges to address. Chronic absenteeism has disrupted consistent instruction and limited access to intervention and RSP services, slowing student progress. Moving forward, we'll continue strengthening family communication and refining our support to meet students' needs with urgency and care. So finally, I want to take a moment to thank our incredible Orion staff for their dedication, collaboration, and commitment to all of the students. This work takes time, care, and a deep belief that every child's potential. And our teachers show that every single day. And I also want to thank our Orion family for their trust, support, and active involvement, as you can see tonight, in their children's education. And together we have built a strong partnership that truly supports student success. And I would like to also thank Superintendent Dr. Baker and our cabinet members for their continued support and guidance of Orion School. And this progress belongs to our entire school community, and I'm really proud of what we have accomplished together this year. And we look forward to continuing this work and building on this momentum. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Board members.
And I'll say thank you after all of your thanks for your role as leading the school. Look, it's two passionate programs put into the single campus, and that comes with a lot of benefits, a lot of challenges too. And I think you've been navigating them really well the last few years. It really feels like a cohesive school and not two individual programs just totally isolated from each other. It's even neat to see how the wing blocks are being used to sort of even group the students together, which I think I understood that right, that they're getting grouped together across the program so that they can have even instructional time overlapping. So thank you, and thank you to your staff, the work that they're doing, and the families, and obviously to the students. They're the ones that are showing up, as we saw in Goal 1, more and more every single day there. So yeah, it was neat to see the attendance going up, the suspension and chronic absenteeism. Suspensions, obviously, it's hard to maintain a totally zero level, but but they're still really, really small. So that's good to see. Jumping into Goal 3, great growth. I think the students are arriving at Orion pretty strong, and so it's really good to see that they're continuing that path and seeing that growth as they start. I think that as one of our roles as the board members to make sure that particular multi-language learners don't get lost out of school. It doesn't look like they are. The CASP data doesn't look amazing. Obviously, there's growth there. I think some of it is that it kind of looked like there's a bubble of maybe level 4s in kindergarten and first grade, and then by the time you get to third grade, you've got really truly emerging language learners there. And so although it's, again, it's not numerically a large number of students at the school, it's still cool to see, that there's the effort that you're putting in, the support that they're getting, the progress they're making on the LPAC, the reclassification rates going up. So yeah, Goal 2, I think, tells the better story of the hard work that you're putting in there. So I was appreciative to see that. Yeah, I mean, it's neat to see. Lots of fun community events there. So keep up the great work.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I always tell my students I speak 3 different languages, and also I started learning English when I was in 4th grade. So I have come a long way. Like now I become a principal, so you can do that too.
Thank you for all the things that you do. Like Mike said, I know it's got to be a challenge managing two kind of programs, but the way that you've done it doesn't feel that way. It really feels like a cohesive school. I think probably the biggest, as you acknowledge, the biggest endorsement is probably all the folks that came here earlier this evening to say some things, but mostly what I heard was we love this program, like continue to invest in it. It's doing amazing things. So I think that's a testament to everything that you've done. Um, yeah, the numbers, I won't dwell on, they look good, like very good for a lot of it. The one thing, as Mike pointed out, was the CAS scores on I think it was like 20 some students. So it's really small. And I saw the same sort of thing of, it's probably in part because there's a lot of good work happening on the earlier end, where we're just moving students out. So anyway, I don't read too much in it. That doesn't mean that we shouldn't keep on focusing on it, but I'm not gonna. I think it's actually a sign of a lot of good stuff for the goal too. So this is great. Really appreciate it. Oh, the last thing, it was also great to hear. Thank you for sharing that there are ways that you have found to incentivize students to put up with the iReady, even if they're not totally bought into it. Different grades, et cetera. But yeah, with Trustee Weekly, it would be great if we can figure out some way to get some buy-in. Glad to hear that there's some room, some places. Thanks.
Thank you. Our students also very data driven, so we set goal during the goal setting conference. Most of our upper grade students pick iReady. They want to use it to see how far they have improved, and they know that our teacher also look at iReady data. But also we have a lot of math end of unit assessment data. We have BPST. We have our benchmark. End of unit reading assessment data. We also have students writing sample, like in all of those PLC. They know that our teachers are watching. So they're like, please let me know, let me know if I'm doing well. Like, can I retake that one little cool down activity? Can I redo the activity? I'm like, that's okay, let's relax. And thank you for trying hard. Thank you for keeping track of the data. I think really like embedded in their head, like teacher are looking at data. So data is really important and data help me to see how far I have come.
Great. Again, I don't want to repeat what everybody said. Thank you so much for the presentation, for the wonderful work that you're doing at Orion. I think the only question that I have for you is that you did mention independent study. And maybe other school sites have actually mentioned this, but I'm just wondering when it comes down to chronic absenteeism, do you see maybe a pattern where people are maybe taking a little too much time off, even though they're doing independent study? I mean, obviously your numbers are good, but obviously that's gonna always be an issue. So I'm just wondering if.
Yeah, because at the beginning of a school year, I told everybody that you can request up to 2 independent study. You have to give us 2 weeks advance notice so our teacher can prepare for the work and then get students on board so they can fully understand what they should be doing during independent study. But we also observe a pattern that we have family who like to have family plan travel. We have like wedding that family need to go to. We have like some of the vacation that people like to take on, so which is fun. I like vacation too. But then I start reaching out like, hey, this is the third time that you requested for independent study. It has been we notice a pattern, so we continue to reinforce that it is really important to stay in school because I appreciate you having fun, but learning is also really important. If you miss that, then your progress will be slower than other students. But we do see a pattern for, even though I explained to parents that like I would expect up to 2. I think that's a lot throughout one school year, 10 months, right? 2 independent study. That for me, that's a lot. But we do see pattern that we have families and students who requested for like 3 or 4 independent study. Yeah, so like some of the family even asking for more clarification. Is there a cap for how many times? Or this is like Principal Winnie's rule, or this is the school district rule? By continue to reinforce that, it's really important to come to school on time every single day, so you don't miss school, you don't miss the instruction. But also like family need more like clearer guidance for what is the cap for independent study. And we understanding that's up to a certain date that we can approve at the school side level. If it's more than I think 21 days, then it need to be submitted to the school district for review.
And then you also mentioned when you were talking about independent study that some of the parents have reached out to say like maybe the packet is too hard. How do you go about that?
Yeah, so I did speak with my teachers about that, and it is either during the independent study, parent will email us and sharing that actually this is too hard. So we provide actually we have like this is the like Khan Academy mini lesson that your child can use as something alternative to continue with the learning. Or we also have like some of the mini teaching video that teacher find on YouTube where it can supplement and support students' learning. So that's something that we provide for family immediately when they reach out. But we also acknowledge that we should have had this pre-meeting before the independent study. If the independent study request is longer than 2 weeks, we really need to meet with family and also including the student at the meeting to talk about assignment and talk about the resources to see how much like what additional support is needed, what kind of barrier may exist so we can predict and make a better adjustment.
Great. Thank you so much.
Sweet. You know, we're partway through these school presentations, and it's nice to see some of the dots you can already put together that look like they're district-wide changes in wins. So just seeing these systemic wins for chronic absenteeism and attendance, it's really fantastic to see them specifically at this school site, but also can start to see like this general trend, and that's kind of neat to call out. Those gains, my God, for iReady going from 44% to 68% grade level from fall to winter on English and 39% to 64% in math. Like by my calculation, mid-year next year, we're going to have 114% of our students are going to be at or above grade level, right? It's great. So just in case it wasn't clear that like, you know, hey, that's awesome. Hey, that's really awesome, right?
Thank you.
That's just absolutely incredible growth. I'm just crushing it. And yeah, you know, both my boys there at Orion, and it provides wonderful challenge. It's a great program. I'm sorry they sometimes cause you some grief, but it's just it's a terrific school site that you've got there. So thank you so much for all that you and your staff and teachers are doing.
Thank you.
Winnie, thank you for all that you and your staff have been doing. And I know it becomes sometimes challenging with the two programs. And as we saw tonight, the parents coming forward talking about the combination classroom, but you have done an amazing job of not only working well with staff, with your community as a whole. And that's a real plus. I know when we started this program 10 years ago, Catherine, um, people were not too sure about it, and it has come a long way. Um, People say, you did that. I mean, when they come to me, you did that. I do not regret it. I am so grateful that it is where it has come to be at this point in time. It has become to be another jewel in the district. That knowing that Redwood City has always been in the forefront of multilingualism for years, and this is just another manner of showing with another language what a district can do and what a district can accomplish. And it seems that we're on that roadway because our first group of kids are already gone and at the high school, and this other group that is at Kennedy right now, both the Spanish immersion and the Mandarin immersion students are doing very well. So everything that you've done, and I know we talk a lot because a lot of things are going on. You are doing a great job of making sure that it moves in a positive direction. And kudos to you and to your staff. And thank you so much for all your hard work.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Baker, for the acknowledgement. I'm just really proud of our program. I got to present at the American Council of Teaching Foreign Language and also by California Bilingual Education. My staff are actually presenting and sharing their best practices this Saturday, this Saturday at the Early Childhood Chinese Immersion Forum, where we'll collaborate with private school and charter school to share how we run the Mandarin immersion program. So I'm really excited to see more staff stepping up and sharing their best practices and their instruction with the colleague in their field.
Well, you've brought that forward because you've been presenting yourself, and now your staff is starting to present. So that's really a plus. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
At this point, I will move for us to approve the Orion SIPSA.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
Yay. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay. Third up, I don't think we're gonna do 4 schools tonight. Adelante Selby.
Just the third. So my name is Patricia Alcocer, and I'm the proud principal of Adelante Selby Spanish Immersion School. So thanks for having us this evening, the members of the board, Dr. Baker. I have some teachers and the staff and everyone online that's been texting me. So we will go ahead and get started. We have, this is my first year at Adelante as the principal this year. I started Adelante in 2009, had Mike's girls and Cecilia's son in my class when I was a teacher. Joined the admin team for 4 years with Director Warren, and this is my first year as proud principal. I have an amazing staff. Everyone works very hard. I have felt immense support this first year from everybody, Anna, Wendy, Dr. Baker, constantly, Jorge, texts and things like that. So I truly appreciate all the support that I've received from everyone, from staff at my school all the way up this year. So we'll go ahead and get started. So as you've heard the last 2 presentations with the LCAP goal, the first goal focuses on socio-emotional learning and with MTSS framework, reducing chronic absenteeism and suspension rates in our school. So this year for our attendance rate, our base year was 94.1. We missed it by a smidge at the end of last year. Our expected outcome for this year is 96.6. Mid-year right now, we're at 95.6. So we have raised our attendance rate this year. So we have been really working hard on our end with our staff, MTSS, and our community school. So reducing chronic absenteeism is also a big focus for our school and our staff. So this year, our baseline was 15.4. Expected outcome last year was 12.8. So we were able to almost get there. And then our expected outcome for this year is 9.8. Mid-year right now, we're at 10%. So again, we're working on reducing our chronic absenteeism in our classrooms. We know that relationships are the foundation of reducing chronic absenteeism, and our teachers have really stepped up in the classroom. In addition, not only is it the connections with the teachers, but it's connection with our front office people, it's connections with our librarian, it's connection with our custodians. So everyone collectively works as a team to make sure that somebody is connecting with our students. And then for our suspensions, we haven't had any suspensions last year or this year, so it continues to stay low. So some of the strategies that we've done in order to help increase our attendance rate and reduce the chronic absenteeism is we work very closely with our staff, with our family center, office staff. We make phone calls to families when we see that there's a pattern. Starts with our teachers. After our teachers, it kind of moves because we know that's the connection. That's the person that our students are spending the most time with. So the teachers really step in and kind of check in. In addition to that, then it kind of moves to our front office. And then from there, we incorporate myself. We incorporate Brianna. She's our vice principal on Tuesdays, Miss Brianna Turner. And then our family center, Claudia Sandoval, the assistant, and Jose Luna, our community school coordinator. We all are working as a team to battle chronic absenteeism and raising attendance rates. During our screen team meetings with our MTSS TOSA community school coordinator and myself, and we incorporate our mental health counselors when they're available. And we kind of look at that to see kind of some trends that we see with our students that are chronically absent, looking at last year's data, or depending on what grade level they are, is it something that's been happening, and trying to combat it with that, working with families. Teachers have a welcome back routine for students that miss some days of school. They have a kind of a welcome back routine just to get them in kind of back into the groove, not making it apparent that they've missed so many days of school, but just kind of getting them back into the flow. We right now, out of our 631 students at Adelante Selby, we have 430 students that are enrolled in extended learning programs. So that is either on site, we have YMCA and REACH, and off-site, we have Casa Círculo and Siena Youth Center. So we have a large portion of our schools that attend extended day programs. Another way, we have our Alebrije Awards that we do by trimester. Our Alebrije is our mascot. So we have our Alebrije Awards that we do by trimester, and we do acknowledge the students that have had perfect attendance for that week. And we also have more families taking advantage of the 3-day independent study. Myra Mimi, our office assistant that's in charge of that, she is behind the teachers, she's behind the parents. I need this. What our teachers also do is sometimes we know that families have emergencies. So what our teachers have done, they've created independent study emergency packets. So if there is an emergency and they can't give us that 2-week, they do have independent study packets ready to go to make sure that the learning is still continuing. With our SES plans, we have had quite a few this year, so we are still working on getting some of the school engagement support plans in place for students to make sure that they're getting to school. And so if they're in the classroom, especially with, I know just like at Orion and Kennedy, if they are missing Spanish and if they don't have Spanish at home, it's really hard for them because that's where they're getting their Spanish and English for our multilingual learners that are having some English instruction during the day. That may be the only time that they're receiving that instruction. So next we have competitive teachers along with some students. So next year we talked about in our screen team and with our PBIS team, we have talked about creating some attendance challenges within grade levels to try to get some of the students at school, get them motivated to be there, because if they're going to win something, they want to get to school. And then also just monitoring once the completion rates. I think with independent study too, sometimes it does take some families some time to get the work into us. And then also sometimes with some of the teachers just being behind them. So tightening up maybe a system to get so once the work is complete, it can move through the system, because sometimes if the families haven't turned it in, or the teacher, with a lot of things that they're doing, they have to grade the independent study and turn it all in. So creating a system for that, for independent study. Some of the things for next steps in this area of suspension. So again, we have our weekly screen team meetings. With the social emotional learning part, right now we are working with Acknowledge Alliance, and that's 3rd through 5th grade. So by trimester, they have a clinician that comes in weekly, and they work through different topics. Right now they're in 5th grade, so they're working on transitioning to middle school and some of those different things that come up, friendships and moving to different schools. So those kind of topics they're working on right now. TK through 5th grade, every morning, every class participates in a morning meeting with different topics, talking about feelings, or if something comes up, they use those morning meetings to address anything that's coming up emotionally with their classroom. Right now, we are in year 1 of PBIS. I have 2 teachers, Maestra Eleanor and Maestra Parenti, that are taking the lead on that. They have been very motivated in creating new structures and getting input of families and getting input from teachers and things like that. So they have presented at our staff meeting. So they're kind of taking the lead on that, and feel like there's just a lot more buy-in because it's coming from their colleagues. It's not me being like, hey, we need to do this. So I see that it's just a big benefit that's happened. A lot of teachers are already implementing some of the strategies that they brought up. And then we do have mentoring. We have Peninsula Bridge, 3rd through 5th grade. They meet once a week off site. And then for 5th graders, we have Friends for Youth, and they meet once a week, and that is on site. So they talk about different topics, almost like Big Brother, Big Sister, but it's a different kind of program. For suspensions, we didn't have any suspensions last year. We haven't had any suspensions this year. What we try to do is a lot of restorative practices. We check it. We have a mental health counselor that checks in with students. Again, we have students that may connect with me, but I have another student that maybe feels safer talking to Claudia, the assistant of the family center. So I feel when we have those students that maybe don't necessarily want to talk to me, or even they're not familiar with the counselor, I feel like we have students that are connecting with somebody. Side note, I have a group of 5th grade boys that have the best relationship with Don Chewy, our custodian. Hasn't been on campus this week, and every day they're like, when is Don Chewy coming back? When is Don Chewy? I'm like, he'll be back. And they've already tried to get him to go to Kennedy, and I'm like, he will not go to Kennedy with you guys. So I feel like those connections, again, if they're not making a connection with me, or there's somebody, whether it's a yard duty, the librarian. We have during lunchtime, I think the librarian, Maya said Diane, she has about 12 students that go in there lunchtime just to read, just to be somewhere. So just the connections, I think that happen in our school is something that's very special. And then our next steps, we are going to be moving back to monthly character traits and doing student recognition by teachers. So having just a monthly character trait, whether it be respect, empathy, kindness. I think right now a big one is perseverance and resilience. To get some of those character traits just more incorporated, giving them language that they can all use. And then right now, I think for TKs, it's just say TK through 2nd, finding some social and emotional program that's geared towards them. I think that's something that we're looking for. I did have actually a parent come in today that she's works in mental health and just wants to know how to support. So she actually talked about bringing back Project Cornerstone and kind of leading that effort. So for goal 2, we have it's surrounded by our multilingual learners and increasing reclassification, and then 55% of our students that will grow 1 level on the summative LPAC assessment, and then decreasing our long-term English learners. So here we have our base year was 44.8%. Our expected outcome was 48.2. We did not make that goal. Our expected outcome this year is 49.8. And then for reclassification rate, our goal, the base was 10.3. Our actual outcome, or I'm sorry, then it was 13.5, and then our actual outcome was 22%. And so we've already surpassed our expected outcome for this year. So they really grew and really worked hard in reclassification. And thank you, Catherine, for always being behind all of us to fill out our forms and all of those things, and just the support that Catherine Rivera has given just our staff in general. And anytime she is willing to come present at ELAC, she's willing to come present to our staff to bring Dr. Sagilan that we'll talk about in just a moment. So some of the takeaways and next steps that we're going to continue kinder through 5th grade. We want to continue working with Dr. Kim Sagilan in our integrated ELD. This year, she was able to come and model 2 lessons, one in 2nd grade, one in 4th grade. I was able to get enough coverage so teachers could come and watch those model lessons. She was able to debrief with them, and then actually I was able to meet with our kinder team, and she shared all of her information, all of her slides, and it was very interesting for them, for our teachers, to see also just what the LPAC looked like in kinder, and then how it progresses up to the 3rd through 5th grade for us. And it was very eye-opening for them to see that, especially early in the year, because then the gears were grinding. They're like, okay. So just working with her really just supported the work that we've been doing at the district level and bringing it down to the site level with her. And she just has this infectious personality, and how she presents, everyone is excited about LPAC when she presents. We have our language power curriculum that is being used kinder through 5th grade. I think that's also something that's really benefited our students in reclassification, because when we started, those kinders are now 2nd graders, and so they've seen language power, and it's something that they're used to, the format and things like that. So they're able to move through it with the routines that language power needs. The other thing with LPAC is, like Chandra spoke in her presentation, a majority of the parents that are attending ELAC are the students that are reclassifying. In our ELAC, it's very robust at the beginning of the year, and I feel like after LPAC, I feel like it kind of falls off a little bit, because they're like, okay, we're done with LPAC. But so along with the community school coordinator and some of our PTO parents, we're trying to figure, and the normal regular members that are at ELAC, we're trying to figure out ways to get them. It's not just we're LPAC and we're done with ELAC, but trying to get this. There's other things that we can talk about besides LPAC. But again, in those meetings, we learn how to read the test scores. I show them models of the test, also different ways that they can practice, different ways they can support their child at home. In addition to that, during the second conferences, we had a lot of teachers, because our kinders hadn't taken the LPAC yet, so they kind of introduced some of those goals that they have during those conferences to get those students reclassified. Right now, our teachers are using the LPAC data to identify students, more targeted, along with the iReady that we'll talk about next. They use that information to kind of gear and structure their instruction during ELD time, but also, like my colleagues Winnie and Chandra said, those ELD strategies aren't just during ELD time, they move across. So sentence frames are not just good for our multilingual learners, they're good for every learner. So just using a lot of the best practices for ELD are best practices for all of our learners. Okay, so next steps, we are going to continue working with Dr. Sagilan with integrated ELD and best practices. I would like to conduct more ELD focused instructional rounds with teachers, because there are teachers that are how they show the ELD best practices. Those practices are good for everybody, and I would like, they're model teachers, they're coaching teachers. So I would like more teachers to be able to go in there and observe them and observe the best practices that they are doing in their classroom. And then just meeting with English, with our multilingual learner families, showing them again, specifically, I know I had some teachers approach me and they just, how can I get this parents out to ELAC? I really want them, they're ready to reclassify, what's going on. So we were doing check-ins with teachers. I know that gave me some students, they're like, they are ready. I just don't know why they haven't reclassified yet. So pulling those students and talking to them one-on-one, and then calling parents and saying, hey, this is what the teacher's seeing. Why don't you come in? Let's look at how we can support at home. So a lot of those, I have had meetings with parents just to address some of those needs for reclassification, and just understanding the importance of reclassification to the parents, so that they know that there's a trajectory and there's a path that we want our learners to go. And we want them to reclassify when they're ready. We don't want, yes, the number is important, but, if they still need continued support, we need to reclassify them when they're ready. All right, and our third is to increase 4% annually on ELA and math on iReady, and then to move our multilingual learners in ELA 20% and math 16% on the CASP. So this was our iReady ELA overall. So we did make some really good improvement. At grade level, we went from 25% to, in the winter, 45%. And then we were able to decrease by 5, the 1 year below, and decrease by 12, our 2+ years below. So here we have our base year was 64.8, and then our expected outcome was 68.8, and we did miss that target. This year, our expected outcome was 67.4. Mid-year, we were at 65.4. Okay, so this is the first year that we took the Spanish iReady. So the kinders, actually, this is their first experience with iReady, so it does start. That's why they have iReady fatigue. So it does, and at our school they're taking it in English and in Spanish. But so both. So our kinder teacher, shout out to my sister, she's here. We had 71% of our kinders at grade level and 29% only at 1 year below. So our kinder teachers are working hard along with our TK teachers. My sister Jennifer's here. They work extremely hard in the TK and kinder grades along with, and they're the building blocks of the foundation of the sounds, the syllabus, the vocabulary, their first experience. So we highly respect our TK and kinder teachers. So first through fourth grade, we had, this is all in Spanish, iReady. So we had at grade level 39% in the fall to 59% in the winter. So 20% increase. 1 year below, we lowered the percentage by 8%, and then two plus years below, lowered it to 12%. And then for math, overall, we had in the fall for math, we had 14% at grade level, and that raised up to 30%, so 16% increase. We lowered it, I'm sorry. So from 1 year below, we went from 49% to 58%. And then 2 years below, we went from 37% to 12%, so a decrease of 25%. And for iReady, in 4% increase for each year. Our base year is 46%. Our expected outcome for 50 was 50%. We had 55.2%. This year, expected outcome is 59.2%. Mid-year, we're at 62.1 for iReady Math. And for ELA CASP, we increase for our ELs third through eighth grade, third through fifth grade in our case. Base year 8.6. The expected outcome last year was 12.4. Our actual outcome was 18.9. So our expected outcome this year is going to be 20%. And our third through fifth grade teachers are in full-fledged test prep mode right now. For math, this is an area that we are continuing to work on. So our base year was 15.7. Our expected outcome for 24-25, 15.8%. Our actual is 14.1. And then our expected outcome for this year is 15.1%. So some of the actions that we've done is we have a robust reading intervention for first and second grade and third through fifth grade. We have 72 students total in reading intervention. We have weekly grade level planning time in addition to all the work and focus Ms. Herrera has done with us this year with PLCs and bringing Solution Tree in. I think that's really benefited our school. And I was able to bring my reading intervention teacher, Nell Douglas, Maestra Dr. Esther Burnt, that is our reading intervention, and she's half-time MTSS SOSA. And along, I was able to bring one of my fifth grade teachers. And again, when it comes from colleagues, sometimes it's, their teachers are like, we should, yes, yeah. So when they present, it's different sometimes when it's me. So having Nell, Esther, and Maestra Jeanette really buy into it themselves and show how excited they were about the PLC process, because it's a lot of data and goals and things like that. But seeing some of the data that we've had and the growth that we've had, I think is really making all of the PLC time and the focus and the data and all of those things, the goals, really worth it. So we did focus on math this year, was our PLC focus. And again, like Miss Leonardo said, in our fifth grade, we have a teacher teaching Spanish, one teacher teaching English, one teacher teaching math. So even though it was the math goal and they focused on the reading portion of the math goal, our Spanish teacher and English teacher were also able to take some of the strategies that Maestro Jose Manuel was doing and incorporate it into their classroom, identifying key details, all of that. That's in English or in language arts, but you also now need those skills during math time to identify key details and all of those things, looking for keywords. So they were able to work very well together to determine their goals for PLC. We have our monthly MTSS leadership team meetings that Directora Brianna Turner, the vice principal on Tuesday, She comes and she helps focus on the MTSS leadership, reviewing data, observing trends. Again, shout out to our TK teachers. All three of them right now are working with first grade students twice a week in math for math intervention to try to close some of those little gaps that they have before moving on to second grade, where the math is going to get a little bit harder. So they work with 2 groups on Tuesdays and 2 groups on Wednesdays, pulling first grade students to do math intervention. So we're going to continue to use ongoing progress monitoring with iReady, LPAC, any formative assessments, data that the district is asking of us. It's very good because it's on a spreadsheet and teachers can look at it and see trends and things like that during their planning time. And then also using the guest teacher to support teachers for professional development, planning, data, things like that, going to observe other teachers. The guest teacher has just been a huge asset the last 2 years in being able to provide coverage for teachers to go and observe their peers in action. And sometimes they do it vertically. So they may go see if they're second, may go see what's happening in first grade, or maybe go see what's happening in third grade, just to see, during math time, just how important their work is. And all of these actions will continue for the next school year. Next step. So we plan to have our STEAM teacher next year. So planning for him to implement some of our targeted math interventions, along with continuing with our TK teachers. We have our monthly PLC meetings to review the data and targeting groups, seeing if there is ways to adjust the groups, whether it be in intervention for reading or the small groups that they do in math. I know they do daily targeted groups in both core subjects. We're going to continue planning with the CRLP routines for reading comprehension. And then next year, we do want to expand our PLC focus, mathematics, but to also in addition to writing and ELD, because I think, like, again, Miss Leonardo said, right, if you're reading, you should be writing. If you're writing, you should be listening, and you need to incorporate all 4 domains. So that's what we plan for our focus to be next year. Oh, and then I know next steps also that I didn't get a chance because we had at our admin meeting, but I know at my school or Adelante Sub, we will be doing 2 book studies next year. One will be on UDL, Universal Design for Learning, for the first half of the year. And then because our focus is also going to be in math again, we'll be doing, I just lost it. Thinking Classrooms. We'll be doing that book. Yes. Bridging Thinking Classrooms in math specifically, just because as we expect our students to keep learning, our teachers are also professionals and they are always learning, always wanting to learn new strategies and new ways to bring the students their gifts out in the classroom. Any questions? Sorry, I was a little nervous today.
Would you like to go first?
Well, you don't seem nervous.
Okay, gracias.
Just so you know. I mean, no, I think we all get nervous. So
Okay.
yeah. Thank you for the presentation. Obviously, lots of growth, some room for growth, but again, the needle is moving.
Yes.
Again, Adelante will always have a special place in my heart. Although my older kids did go to Roosevelt too.
Okay.
Right. And what I do want to say too, although it's tonight is the Adelante Selby night, that we do have wonderful schools throughout our district,
Yes,
right?
absolutely.
So I just want to just throw it out there. Thank you to all the wonderful teachers district-wide. I really don't have any questions other than like comments. Basically, I'm really thrilled for the growth, your enthusiasm again, thank you for your willingness to be the principal of Adelante after all these years. And so thank you so much. I appreciate everything that you've said with everyone that helps you out, with Claudia and Mr. Luna making all the phone calls. Of course, when we talk about the iReady and the CASP and like the difference between the ELA and the math and the improvement, we've talked to math. It's always hard. And then coming from Spanish to English, I know that that's hard. I mean, I saw that with my own kids too. So That's really all my comments. Again, thank you for the wonderful things that you guys are doing at Adelante Selby. And I'll go ahead and let.
Thank you. And the one thing with the math, I do have to say, especially, well, third through fifth grade, they do the first one in Spanish and then they do the second one in English, just because they're starting to gear towards a state test. So, or just so that they can see some of the question asking. So, that's one thing about the data. It's the first one they take in third through fifth grade is the Spanish math test, and then they take it in English.
And then the other thing too that you did mention, and as other principals have too, I appreciate the fact that you are encouraging the teachers to learn from the other teachers as well. So obviously that's something that.
Yeah, we have lots of expert teachers all over the district, and anytime we can showcase them, I think we definitely need to showcase them. There's a lot of good work happening all over, not just at my school, but at all the schools.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
I don't really have questions either, just comments, praise, all the good stuff. I'll agree. You don't seem nervous. This was great.
Thanks.
I'm sorry I haven't been able to make it to Adelante Selby this year. I was hoping to step back to, I know a transition year can be tough, but you guys being too cautious, because while I think Warren probably left big shoes to fill, it seems like you've really just stepped right in with it seems, at least from the surface, pretty effortlessly, not a lot of friction there, so that's great. And then looking, the way I kind of look at all the presentations is I look at the numbers to say, like, how are we doing generally, and then figuring, okay, why is that happening? And the numbers, they look very good, pretty consistent. So again, doesn't seem like we've had a hitch. And then the why, it's always really helpful to hear all the different ways that you're thinking about how to continue improving, and that's across each of the goals, right? Like thinking about the relationships for goal one across the campus, like how do we build those relationships between students and staff so that there's a trusted adult, and with all the work in the ELD, which again is across the district, but it's great to hear all the work that's specifically being done here, and we're seeing all the results. And that of course translates into goal 3. So just really appreciate it. I'm glad that you're staying at the helm and continuing with the good work at Outline to tell you.
Awesome. Well, you're welcome. We have 6 weeks. So we have 6-week day at least. So you can come on over
All right.
within those 6 weeks.
I will do my.
We do have the Other Niño on Saturday. So if anyone would like to come to the Other Niño on Saturday from 11 to 3, it's one of our big community events. So
Yeah, and hopefully there's a dunking tank.
there is a dunking tank. And I already talked to PTO. I'm like, I need somebody to bring a wetsuit, or I need somebody to boil water because I have to get.
It might be,
So it's
it
like
might be cold.
It's a big fundraiser for 4th and 5th grade for outdoor ed. So
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Director Patty. Really appreciated the presentation. I'm glad to see you up at the front of the school as the leader. Thanks to all your staff and everything there. These presentations are about numbers that we put together, but behind every single one of them is a student, a staff member, caring adult, and family. And so I really appreciated your anecdote about the trusted custodian for the 5th graders that really just built that relationship. It's just a reminder of how awesome our staff is, just across the board. It's just so important for each. I'm sure this story is happening at all school sites too. Just it's so critical for students to be able to make that relationship with a trusted
Absolutely.
adult, and how everybody leans in across the, whatever their job is, they lean in to be able to make sure that can happen for them. So that was really neat to hear. The the iReady scores look good. Seeing that growth, it is not surprising in a 90-10 dual immersion program to see the Spanish scores much higher than the English ones at the younger grades, and the math one consistently good across the years. That's not surprising at all. I remember a couple of years ago, we had the Stanford longitudinal presentation
Yes.
that came in and talked about the effectiveness of not just this program, but actually this school on our emerging bilingual learners, through high school. Maybe I can't even remember how far along, just the success that they were seeing. And with, over 200 students that are emerging bilingual learners, just knowing the impact that we're having there is remarkable. And so it's a big school. Wow.
it is
620 kids.
631.
Yeah.
With the vice principal on Tuesdays.
Yeah. It's a really big school. So you stepped into a big shoes, but a big school too.
Yes, and I do have to say, the staff that I have, I every time I talk about them, I always want to cry because they are the most supportive staff. They help, they support, they do restorative practices before sending them to the office or anything like that. I have my office manager and assistant, my right-hand person, people that just, they delegate when people are coming into the office and need to see me and things like that. So all around, it is a complete team effort. Like I said, all the way from our custodians to our librarians to our yard duty staff to our teachers to our paras to our aides in the classroom. This is the village and this is the team.
Yeah.
So I'm just a proud principal of an amazing school and staff.
And so fitting to have TK and K teachers here because it looks like it's a TKK takeover. It is a large number.
We have 3 TK and 4 kinder, and we are full for
Yeah.
next year. So.
And then just really strong retention throughout the grades.
Yes.
It's hard. You can't replenish, but it's really hard to replenish by the time 3rd grade comes around because of the requirements to be Spanish, literate and able to speak it. And so it's great to see the strength of the program continuing. Thanks.
Thank you.
Takeover, French. Just imagine this army of kindergartners, right? Yes.
It's 170 students in TK and K. That's a lot of students that are that young.
Takeover seems like the right term to use. It's an old saw, but an elementary school district is overwhelmingly about reading, writing, and arithmetic, and at its core. And that's really how I feel like we should collectively be judged. And so I think in that light, it's just fantastic to see the growth data here, going from 25% to 45% at grade level in English, and more than 2/3 of their the students hitting it in Spanish. Great gains in math. So just like I think the core of what our schools need to be good at, your school is doing a really good job at, and just seeing that steady progress is fantastic. So thank you so much for everything you're doing here.
No, thank you. And a shout out to everyone online because, again, they were texting me, and just, again, the immense support that I've received from Dr. Baker, Wendy, Anna, Catherine, Patrina, everybody. In addition to other principals coming here my first year, I am constantly texting other principals like, hey, do you have this? Do you have this? And I couldn't have joined a better group of administrators to have my first year and just complete support all the way around. So thank you.
I'll just jump in with the other RWA that I think is important here, which is relationships, the want to be there, and acceptance. And I see it in all of our schools there. So I appreciate that too.
Fati, thank you so much for stepping up and taking on the position. I want to thank, your staff that's online. You also have Maria, Susan here, and Jennifer. I know you have big day tomorrow. Did I leave somebody out? Susanna's there. There she is. I know she was there. I saw her come in, and I thought she was. But thank you again for stepping up, as I said previously, and also for doing what you're doing your first year. First year, you said it's the hardest. It always is the hardest, but it seems like you're working really well with staff. Well, you've been there. You started there, so you've been there for a long time. But on top of it, the respect and the grace that you have, not only with your students, your staff, and your parents, but just with the whole community is just, totally amazing to see on a daily basis. And you're out there and about.
I am.
When I'm out there, and the ladies in the office, no está aquí todavía, and he's out there running around somewhere. They said, well, she'll be in a bit. But, good team. It's a good team effort, and you can really feel it when you walk through the door.
Yeah.
And how staff greet the children, the staff members that are there in the office, just greet them even if they're walking in a little late and so forth, and the parents. You've got a great team, and I'm sure they're going to support you, and you're going to do wonders. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Yes, thank you.
Okay. Wonderful.
I will make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. Beautiful. We're on to 12.4. We now have a resolution 22 to consider around teacher assignments for this year. Wendy, you're up.
Thank you. It is a little unusual to have this at this time of year, but I wanted to give some context. Our San Mateo County Office of Education does an fabulous job in checking all the details. For one of the candidates, who actually was board approved in August appropriately, they would prefer a different waiver code for the course he's teaching. We gave English, which is typical. Now they're looking for a different title waiver for yearbook. So that was fine. We're adapting to the new changes. Sometimes we get them last minute. And in this case, we found out in March. So it's being brought to you tonight, which will cover the year, which is good. So that's not so much a content. Clearly, this teacher is very well qualified. We had no doubts in August. So that was just a change of status, but we'll know better for next year now as we move forward with this new information. The second one's a little more complicated. We have a multiple subject teacher who was properly cored at the beginning of the year, but due to scheduling changes needed to add an English class, which was not communicated to our office until now. And so that's why that is being corrected, but still, once again, would meet all the criteria normally. So that was a good lesson. So those are the reasons for this timeliness of this particular item. Typically, they're brought in June and August prior to the student starting. So that's why.
Thank you for the explanation. Board members, any other questions following up on that?
No, and it's one of those rare evenings where we get to pass a board policy that provides the framework around this in the same evening where we get to do the execution. So it's really for us getting to see the governance in the full circle. So
there you go.
With that, I'll move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All right, very well. And we have moved 12.5 to consent. So we're moving on to 13.1. So one of the fun parts of this job is high-fiving students when they graduate. So now we'll be discussing who will be high-fiving which students precisely. Jennifer was so kind as to suggest that I might want to congratulate my son, Max, graduating from Orion. Good catch, Jennifer. Thank you. Are there other changes people would like to propose here?
I will be out of town on the 5th.
Oh, that's dear. In trouble.
Oh dear.
Yes. Is there any support?
No, there's none.
I mean, if so, my daughter graduates from high school at 10 a.m. on Friday, so I could go to the Taft one at 9. I think 9:30 at Henry Ford would be a little bit tough to be able to do both, and I would get major demerits at home. But if Cecilia, if you're available Friday morning at 9:30 to do Henry Ford, I could go to Taft at 9 and still make it to Sequoia for the important parts of graduation. The walking out is very important too, but I would still be able to be there.
And I'll be happy to take over Kennedy's as well.
Oh, you're amazing.
Oh yeah, Kennedy. Okay.
Good job heroing that. I said, good job heroing that. Yeah, bravo. Okay.
Sorry. So just to confirm, Cecilia, you're taking Kennedy and Henry Ford?
And Mike is.
And I'll go to Taft.
Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. Any other changes? Okay, I think we've got a full docket then. So that sounds good. We don't need to vote on this, do we? Or just acknowledges? Yeah, okay. That's right. Okay, great. On to consent then. So lots of other consent items today, very long consent agenda. Renewal agreements, kids are eating more breakfast than last year, so we need to provide them more things to eat for breakfast. Meeting minutes approvals, policies, lots of policies. Just as a reminder, folks may wonder at the very large number of policies if you haven't tuned into other board meetings. The short of it is that we're working through a backlog of about 200 policies that need to be updated to be fully compliant with the state. Yes, 200. It's a huge amount of work from policy committee and staff. Shout out to them. Woot woot. For many policies, we're either required to put in specific language or the statewide California School Board Association has already had a team of lawyers who have reviewed specific language that they think that school boards like us should adopt. So we really only want to stray from that when we have real conviction about the ways in which we think our district should operate differently. Any board member can pull a policy from consents for active discussion, but for unobjectionable changes, we're trying to have an efficient system given just the sheer quantity we're dealing with here. One other thing that's in here that by definition gets glossed over in part of a consent agenda is the warrant registers. This is literally all of our expenditures. I know school finance can be a lot to wrap our head around. I still feel like I'm coming down a learning curve here on my 4th year on the job, but literally every penny spent by the district is publicly accounted for in a matter of public record. It's all there. And just finally, as a reminder, just because something's in our consent agenda does not mean that it's not important, that it's unimportant. It just means that we may have already reviewed it or it's unobjectionable, and we'd like to focus our limited time together on substantive matters requiring presentation and discourse. Any board member at the change of agenda segment of the meeting can request that an item be pulled from consent to discuss. With all that said, would anyone like to move that we approve our consent agenda?
I'll move that we approve the consent agenda.
We add 12.5 into the approval.
Yes. And just per the change in agenda, officially adding in 12.5 to the consent agenda.
I move again to approve the consent agenda as amended to include 12.5. Thank you, Ricky.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Brilliant. Okay. We're on to board and superintendent reports.
I will go first.
You will go first.
I attended that San Mateo CSBA meeting on Monday. And one of the presentations was the development of the San Mateo County Office of Education and Environmental Literacy nonprofit 10 Strands that presented. It's called Seeds to Solutions. And it's instructional material that is given to school districts for free. And solutions-oriented lessons, plans, and students' material for grades K through 12 on California environmental issues. Some of the lessons are very interesting. I mean, obviously, that's something that we would have to think about as a district. Although it's free, how much more to say work do we want to give our teachers when it comes down to curriculum? So it's a thought. Again, it's free. They're online. They just have to get the curriculum from, I think it's in YouTube. So just FYI. And that was it for me.
Sweet. Thank you.
I attended a nominating committee meeting for the SMCSBA. I think Cecilia has agreed to be a representative for our area. That was all otherwise.
Ooh.
I was at the welcome event for Dr. Rubalcaba last Wednesday at Kennedy. Cecilia was there too for the evening one. And we got to see a lot of parents and staff and had amazing food from Richie's program. These little bruschettas were amazing. They made probably more than was needed for the number of people that showed up, but it was outstanding. So that was a lot of fun.
Very cool. For myself, just continue to iterate on rcsd.info. So I'm continuing to work on that and get input from the community. Some future board meeting, I may do a short presentation just to kind of show people where that's at and how that's come along. But
Mine's already been mentioned.
all right, sweet.
Oh, yes, I did go to the meeting. There were so many people at that. I have some concerns about that. I mean, they have. We can bring it. That's why I forgot about it. I was there. Yeah, I was there. There were so many of us. There was like. Go ahead.
Okay.
But thank you for reminding me.
Next up is our Williams complaint procedure. California requires this of all school districts. Basically, if parents formally complain that we're deficient in a general area of the materials we're using, the facilities we use, or teacher vacancy or misassignment, we report out on the status of those complaints. The TLDR here is that we did not receive any such complaints last quarter. Don't think there's anything else to comment on there. And with that, correspondence. Any correspondence of note?
Some emails regarding the Orion combo classes.
Indeed.
Yes.
Yep. Also in receipt of those. Okay. That's it for correspondence. Other business.
I do have something.
What?
And it would just be if we could possibly consider bringing back, and I don't know whether is this the school of choice board policy? Is that what it's called? Yes?
I believe
Go
so.
on,
Yeah,
we know
yes,
which you're talking
Okay,
about.
so, and the only reason why I'm thinking this is obviously we've gotten a lot of emails from parents concerned about the combo classes. And I'm just wondering if obviously this has to do with the attrition that we get from students moving to North Star. And so, especially for programs like the Mandarin immersion, I mean, I know it affects district-wide, but that's one of the main ones. I mean, when the students spoke, the I forget the boy's name, said there was only like 8 students in the classroom, right? We usually don't get to see that. So if we really think about what we want to do moving forward to help everyone in the district, so again, it's just a thought.
Okay.
If we, at a future agenda, I mean, at a future meeting, if we could bring that as an agenda item, that would be great.
Okay, thank you. Other suggested topics? Just as a reminder, I do have a set of parking lot topics that are meaty, and just at some point, maybe during our offsite, we could just go through those, see if we could get some collective agreement on stack rank. If there's other things like that we want to bring into there, then we can use that as we're building out the schedule of board meetings for next year to figure out what we want to slot in when, with an overall goal of like, if there's like a big meeting, like, tonight, obviously 3 school board reports, that's going to be like an XL if you kind of t-shirt size these things. You don't want to throw in extra elective things on something like that. But if there's smaller meetings, and we've had some smaller meetings, that those are almost a waste if we leave early versus getting a chance to tackle some of those things that are important but not urgent for us to attend to. So that's my overall hope, is it can be something that we discuss there. And if there are things that you want considered as part of that, like Celia just did, let's mention it at the next meeting or two. So just this is my homework assignment for you to be thinking about what are the meaty topics that you would like to put on deck for the board.
So just to clarify, like you want us to addend the parking lot by, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And then this would be a great spot in the meeting to suggest addenda to the parking lot.
And specifically in the context of like meeting presentations or just general topics?
Well, it could be things where like a study session is called for. It could be just like some discussion. It could be asking staff for a presentation. Depends on what the subject matter is. And we could decide as a board, like, how do we want to tackle this topic, right? What are we looking for?
Makes sense.
Cool. All right, great. Okay. And then with that, we are on to reflection. How did today's meeting go?
I think it went great.
Cool. We got through a lot. Jeez. Look at that consent agenda. My God.
Three's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always feel bad at the end because I feel like I'm personally losing steam. I'm like listening, but I'm not giving as much focus as I probably want to.
That's really the limit. You can't do 4.
Yeah, it ran long. I don't have any suggestions to make it shorter other than spread out the.
You have to have 2. You have to have 2. That should and talk to Dr. Rubalcaba about today, because they don't have these San Mateo Gloucester City, and so 2 is the max. 1 would be great, so you get some in-depth conversations back and forth, but at the most 2. Yeah, 3 is too many.
Our guidance
I'm totally with you.
Yeah.
Because by the time I felt bad for Bati when she got up here. I really did.
It's hard.
But I do want to say, she did a really good job.
No,
Although
no,
she
no,
said that she was
no.
nervous. It was like awesome, right? At the end of the day, but it's like, even as she was speaking, I was like, I mean, it's late, right? So.
And staff were here, and
Yes,
you know,
yeah. I mean, even those online.
yeah,
right?
they're
Yeah.
on that, but they were a lot
Yeah,
of them.
and the one other thing I'd say is that, and I think President Weekly pointed this out as well. It is neat seeing the themes that are coming across the district consistently. Coming through it as we look school by school and put it in the kind of the similar growth, the programs that are working in all the places, the extra additional programs like Dr. Saguilar that's brought in and the impact that's having. It's really neat to be able to see that.
Just from a timekeeping perspective, and this is me looking for feedback. I think we had suggested 15 minutes of presentation, then 15 minutes of Q&A, and that was sort of like our hope for these in general. I noted that all three of our speakers tonight went over that 15 minutes, some by almost twice that. So
I think you were very respectful to have grace and allow them to go over. I think that we should encourage the superintendent to remind the principals that they're more than welcome to be briefer in their presentation. Like we get it, we've seen the slides and put that in. But I think in the moment they're excited, they're nervous. Yeah,
It's hard
the
to
right
do.
thing. Yeah, I think you did the right thing.
Okay, great, thank you. Cool. Other reflections or feedback about tonight's meeting? No? Okay, all right, great. Appreciate it. And with that, let's move on to meeting calendar. Let's see. So yeah, May 27th closed session was moved to June 10th. So just make a note of that in your calendars. No other meaningful updates I'm seeing here. I think that takes us to adjournment.
I'll move to adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. The motion carries. The meeting is over.